Welcome, one and all, to the audio-visual counter-attack. Welcome to the RazörForce Offensive. I am the Admiral of the American Protectorate of Greenland, alongside my Lieutenant, Newfie Gell. How are you, sir?
Doing good. It's a bit chilly here in Greenland.
Just a little bit.
But I'll get used to it.
Had to pile on the layers. Oh, man, what a week. What a week. Does it not feel like 5 months have gone by in 2 weeks? How many events can you pack into the beginning of 2026 exactly, bro?
Man, 2026 has been a hell of a year.
It's like watching...
What do you mean it's the 15th?
Yeah, it's like watching an Attitude Era edition of Raw. Remember that? Where like you'd have 2 segments go by and like 5 months of storylines would go by. Absolute insanity. One thing after another. Maybe Iran will be overthrown. We'll see. Sadly, we lost Scott Adams. Maybe we should open up with that. Trump, of course, is weighing strikes against Iran. Democrats want to pass a bill blocking Trump from running in 2028. And he may be invoking the Insurrection Act on Minnesomalia. And so much more. So much to get to here today on the offensive. All of those stories and more, and plenty of finger flipping and chair spinning as always. But first and foremost, I released a video just a day ago about the passing of the great Scott Adams. For those not yet apprised of this man's existence, the fuck out of here. No, for those not yet apprised, Scott Adams, the creator, best known as the creator of Dilbert. One of my favorite Sunday cartoons in the newspaper, really, back in the day. I think a lot of people's favorites. His story is so wild in that he literally just one day woke up and said, I hope I'm not misportraying this, but I believe he literally said, I want to have a cartoon in the newspaper. Couldn't draw, didn't know the first thing about art. Hey, that never stopped Rob Liefeld. And basically taught himself to just learn how to draw enough that he could get a cartoon in the newspaper. And he managed to do it. He just didn't take no for an answer. And it wound up being inarguably one of the most successful newspaper comic strips of all time. Did you ever back in the day like flip through the newspaper? Because my parents had a subscription back in the day, and I would always flip to the comics, of course, because I wanted to be a comic artist since I was in like 1st grade. So
Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah. I always liked Mutts, and of course Dilbert. Beetle Bailey, ladies and gentlemen. Beetle Bailey.
Far Side,
dude. So many good ones. And of course, Marmaduke. Oh, Marmaduke, you're far too big to be in insert situation. But folks, Scott Adams, if he had never uttered one word about political punditry, would still be one of the enduring pop culture icons just because he created one of the most popular newspaper strips of all time. I mean, I'm not going to throw him out there like he's Charles Schultz and it's Peanuts or anything, but this was a big comic until, of course, it wasn't, because he made some extremely room temperature comments about race politics. I guess we'll talk about that in a moment. But first off, like, how did you encounter Dilbert for the first time? Were you introduced to it through the newspaper cartoon or the on-air cartoon that they did for a while that never should have been canceled, by the way? It's a good show.
Oh, no. The first thing I ever saw it was in the Sunday comics.
Yeah.
Just the various different strips. But later, when I found out that they were making, and when it aired, the actual cartoon, I loved it. It was great. It was up there with, I'm about to show my age here, up there with The Critic and Duckman.
Duckman, yes.
Yeah.
And Dr. Stan Katz.
Oh, yeah, Dr. Katz.
Starring Stephen Wright, ladies and gentlemen. God, but what's your favorite Stephen Wright joke? Mine is, I got food poisoning the other day, but I don't know when I'm going to use it. I freaking love that.
Mine is, there are sponges in the ocean. You don't know how much that messes me up.
Yeah, that kills me.
How much larger would the ocean be if that wasn't the case?
I know, what the hell? Gosh, I love that, man. But Scott Adams had that same kind of dry sense of humor. You know what I mean? Like you read some of his best Dilbert strips, and that same kind of Stephen Wrighty sensibility would come through. So just on the Dilbert front, this guy was a titan. Then a few years ago, he deigned to come out and basically just support Trump. That's it. He didn't become a conservative. He certainly didn't become a wingnut, but he began opining on politics, and he wasn't an outright boilerplate leftist. And that is an unforgivable affront today. When did you become aware of his commentary, punditry?
Oh, Scott, that would be around 2016.
Yeah. His thing about the two movies on the same screen, absolutely brilliant. Godspeed, Scott Adams. Godspeed into the hereafter. And actually, should get to a few of these chats before we get in fully, if you don't mind reading these.
Norm Al, man, I've been following the Iranian Revolution nonstop. Those people have tremendous... Okay. I am praying for them. Trump better help them end the most evil regime on the planet. He promised.
That does complicate things. If you're an anti-interventionist, Trump said he would help them. So if you're anti-interventionist, I guess you could be happy that he's not doing anything. But at the same time, what is the president's word worth? And how does that help us in terms of leverage for the future, for any future situations where we might be up against a hostile foreign power? I can understand reasonable minds may differ on whether or not to intercede. I obviously have my opinions, and they come from knowing people who are actually right now stuck in Iran. I haven't been able to get through to them since all of this started. So this has a personal angle for me, and I happen to know on the ground what's actually going on. It's not a damn Israel op. It's not a damn Mossad op, and I can tell you that because the people I know in Iran were talking about it 15 plus years ago. You people are clowns. You need to shut the fuck up. Nick Fuentes needs to never utter another fucking word about this. He clearly doesn't know the first thing about the first fucking thing about Iran. You shouldn't listen to one fucking word he says, or Candace, or any of these other clowns who are pushing this as a Mossad op. Am I sure Israel is over the moon at the idea they could install a Shah, or at least a Shah could be in place who would be more amenable to working with Israel? Abso-fucking-lutely. But the idea that they engineered this, shut the fuck up. Did they engineer 2019 too? Did they engineer 2013 and 2012 and 2010 and 2009? Blow it at your narrow fucking ass. Shut up. You don't know a fucking thing about Iran. Okay? That's where my position is coming out on Iran. And speaking of which, Trump is weighing strikes against Iran. I believe Iranian airspace was briefly cleared and shit. So people thought there was an attack imminent. Now the word is coming down. And keep in mind, this is sources say. So giant air quotes are required here. It's probably bullshit. But the claim is that Trump called it off at the 11th hour. There was supposed to be a strike last night, and it didn't occur. Do you have that article, by the way?
Let's see. I have stupid watch Trump butcher CNN reporter. Let's see.
I'll go ahead and bring it up if you don't have it.
White House says indirect. I did have something else up if you want to put that up while you search for the other thing.
I don't need to search for it. I already have it right here. I thought I sent this to you, but Trump weighs sending assets to the Middle East is what this story is. So let me go ahead and bring that up right now.
Insurrection Act. No, I didn't get that one.
Here we go. Sources. This is a constant problem with all this Iran stuff. It's always sources say. According to two sources who spoke to Fox News, Strike 1 and Strike 2, the U.S. is sending military assets to the Middle East as tensions remain high between the White House and Iran's regime, which has endured days of massive anti-government protests. Now, I believe he's already sent some stuff near the region, right? There's already ships and stuff. Have you heard this?
That's what I've heard, yes.
Yeah. It is not yet clear whether the carrier is the USS Abraham Lincoln, currently operating in the South China Sea, or one of two carriers that departed Norfolk and San Diego earlier this week. Transit to the region is expected to take at least a week. Military assets from air, land, and sea are expected to flow into the region in the coming days. Now, here's a question. If the transit's expected to take a week, could this not be Trump calling off the attack and more so waiting to have everything in place?
That sounds more likely, because if I remember correctly, the last time this happened, weren't the strikes delayed because of like weather or something, or am I misremembering?
Yeah, I don't know. The scuttlebutt, the sources say, is he wants to make sure that he will be successful in toppling the Ayatollah. That's the scuttlebutt. So, military assets from air, land, and sea are expected to flow into the region in the coming days and provide the president with military options should he decide to carry out strikes against Iran, sources told Fox. They said U.S. military planners are preparing a range of options that would depend on how Iran's regime acts in the coming days. Well, right now, the scuttlebutt is there. I've said scuttlebutt like 9 times. Scuttlebutt. That people literally have stopped marching in the streets, but they're kind of cowering inside because if you leave the indoors, you are literally just open fire on immediately.
Yeah, there's what do you call it? You can't go outside. They have snipers on the roofs. Apparently, they're just indiscriminately firing upon people.
Yeah, this is much worse than 2012, 2019. There's way more people marching. The regime
Millions.
is, I mean, and this must be said just outright, regardless of how you feel about interventionism, which is it really interventionism? This is a problem that we created. It was interventionism in the 50s and 70s. This is a problem we caused and then ran away from. So interventionism or just not running away from a problem that we ran away from for almost 50 years. You know what I mean? How do you, what's your read on that, by the way, personally? About whether or not this is, because a lot of people are trying to sell this and spin this. Dave Smith springs to mind, unfortunately, as adventurism, military adventurism.
Adventurism? What the fuck does that even mean?
Any kind of intercession in Middle Eastern politics of any kind, even and especially when it's a situation that we set up ourselves.
No, the bottom line is tyrants falling. Doesn't matter if it's Venezuela or Iran or what have you.
See, I wouldn't even go that far. There are tyrants I wouldn't care to topple. Communists are kind of an exception because if left alone, they're literally funding, some of the stuff we're seeing in Minnesota and such. They don't leave you alone. There's no live and let live with communists because they prescribe their imposition across the entire planet. It's right there in the Communist Manifesto. Workers of the world unite, right? So
I mean,
there's an exception.
Bottom line, it helps America.
Yeah.
That's the number one concern. If Iran falls, then Israel has less of a reason to blow people up. That means less of our money going to Israel. And of course, less terrorism coming from Iran against us. It's just better for everyone.
Okay. I'll put another question to you because I've been pondering this and I don't know that I have a clear stance on it yet. I ponder it and I go back and forth. What does our intercession look like? Because I think Trump is committed at this point, regardless of how you feel about it. He said he would defend these protesters, and thus far he has not. And that makes him look really bad. It makes the United States look really bad. And it hurts us in leverage in future situations, whether it's with Russia or whoever. Does it look like full-on bombing? Or just kind of a brief series of retaliatory strikes on a military stronghold, say? Or something like that, taking out, because they're using the police to fire on people. They're using the military to fire on people. Do you take out the base where those snipers are coming from? What does it look like if we intercede? Because I don't think
you're asking
I don't think full-scale invasion is number one warranted, and I don't think it would get the job done.
So, looking at his history, his recent history, everything has been precise. Like a scalpel. He bombed the enrichment sites. Going back to the austere scholar, took him out precisely. Venezuela was a work of art, how precise that was.
Yeah.
My guess is it's the same thing. He goes directly for the Ayatollah and possibly, his heads of state or
Right.
the
Yeah,
generals.
so you have to understand the structure. I've reiterated this a number of times. Iran is a three-headed hydra. Only two of the heads really have any muscle. One is a complete figurehead. That's the president. So you have the president, you have the military, and you have the mullahs / Ayatollah.
Yeah.
And all three are jockeying for position against the other. The president is powerful in the sense that whoever he sides with at the moment, he can sometimes play tiebreaker. That's all he can ever do. But he's basically otherwise powerless. So you'd have to strike the military, and in striking the military, you weaken the mullahs. And, the military's not completely on board with what the Ayatollah is doing, even though they have endorsed him executing some of the protesters because they have to be used for it. But they're as often at each other's throats as they are rowing in the same direction. And this is something that I'm not seeing a lot of people point out. It's something that was stressed to me by people that I know in Iran, where they're like, you don't understand, you in America are looking at Iran as a monolith. You're saying, oh, it's the dictatorship of the Ayatollah. Not really. If the military decides they don't like the Ayatollah that week, the Ayatollah becomes an ineffectual, feckless figurehead. And this has happened no small number of times. So here's another question I would put to you, and I'd put this to viewers as well. Do we have a sustained presence if we intercede, or would it be momentary? Because this, too, I go back and forth on. The people in Iran have clearly decided they want the Shah reinstalled. What does that look like? I would prefer maybe a parliamentary monarchy with a little bit of a democratic aspect to it. But what does it look like? Is it absolute Shah emperor? He's the God emperor kind of situation. What do you think that would take? Are we there long term? Are we there momentarily?
So, Trump being Trump and his 4D chess. This is out there. This is 1 in a million chance. But what if he is able to strong arm other countries into doing the work for us? Hey, we went through this trouble of removing this asshole and letting these people govern themselves.
Yeah.
You are going to make sure it stays that way, or we're going to lean on you.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Qatar. I'm talking about, to an extent, Israel. This is something we're leaving in your backyard. You got to watch it.
I have to say this, a lot of people claiming it's a Mossad thing and an Israel thing. The thing that tells me it was not instigated by Israel and Mossad is Israel were caught flat-footed. They didn't even have a statement about it till almost a week later. They were not ready to talk about this. If this was a Mossad op, they would have had all their P's and Q's in a row. They didn't. Netanyahu took forever to even say anything about it. So this is, to me, this is a lot of different things sort of coming down at the same time. And really, this is a case of kicking the can down the road over and over and over again. Whether we're talking about the Arab Spring or whatever, it's something that has been in the works for a really, really long time. Persia, Shawshank's Redemption 2. Godspeed, bro. You can't be pensive when you're on the offensive. Major Spike 9000. Thank you very much. All right. Matthew Hammond, can you play and comment on Trump's great healthcare plan announcement? It's 5 minutes. I didn't hear anything about this. Did you?
Oh, yes, I did.
Okay. You want to bring that? Well, go get that, and then we'll come back to it. We'll circle back. We'll go ahead and circle back. All right. Dr. Admiral, I pray the people are successful in their efforts, and I hope T-Money delivers proper punishment. The people deserve to be free. And Trump was asked by a journalist, which is strike one, what he was planning on doing. And that led to one of the more hilarious occurrences of this week, a journalist trying to pretend that they weren't from CNN. This was just absolutely genius right here. We got to watch this.
Briefed on, are you meeting with senior officials?
You're going to need to turn that up.
It's super quiet. I don't know that there is a way to turn it up.
Where will we attack? When? And at what angle will we attack from?
Are you considering I'm with the U.S. White House TV pool. I'm wondering, are you being briefed on options? I'm with CNN, sir.
Why don't you just say I'm with CNN? He says I'm with the White House pool. And I say, what? You're with CNN. You're with fake news. CNN is fake news. Go ahead, give me a
she tried to pass it off that she was with the White House press pool. And he was like, wait a minute, what network was it? And she finally owned up to it being CNN. Peak 2026. And speaking of which, we probably should talk about the new bill to try and block him from running a third time. I don't know if you have that story, sir.
1 second. I just found the healthcare plan thing.
Before we move on to that, let's look at the healthcare thing.
Let me set the resolution. There we are.
I did not see this. Are we going to watch the whole thing and give some commentary? Don't worry about quality, by the way. It downscales anyways.
Today, I'm thrilled to announce my plan to lower healthcare prices for all Americans.
Hold on, pause.
Make health.
Is it just me, or does he look AI?
That could just be the camera quality.
Yeah, it kind of looks AI. Anyway, continue.
Healthcare affordable again. We're doing things that nobody's ever been able to do. We're calling it the Great Healthcare Plan. Instead of putting the needs of big corporations and special interests first, our plan finally puts you first and puts more money in your pocket. The government is going to pay the money directly to you. It goes to you, and then you take the money and buy your own health care. Nobody's ever heard of that before, and that's the way it is. The big insurance companies lose, and the people of our country win. This proposal locks in the massive discounts on prescription drugs that my administration is achieving through our most favored nation drug pricing agreement. Now, when you hear about that, for 40 years they've been trying to do it. But then,
functionally speaking, is that not just like healthcare stimulus?
Sort of. I don't know how he plans to implement it.
Yeah, is this like a collected fund, or are they just going to send you money? Hey, spend that on healthcare. Is that how that's going to work? I don't know. Or
maybe you get an idea of how much it is from the doctor, and then you send that to them, and then they give you the money.
Whatever gets rid of that damn healthcare marketplace bullshit. Anyway, continue.
Never were able to do it. No other president was able to do it. I got every other country to approve it by the use of tariffs and other things. They all approved it. Nobody else got it. No other president got it. And for the most part, they didn't even try because they felt it was impossible. It'll bring down drug prices 80, 90%. In some cases, just numbers that nobody's ever heard of.
You'll be so proud of your drug price.
Prescription drugs will come way, way down. And under this policy, the prices of many drugs will be slashed by 300, 400, and even 500% starting this month at the TrumpRx.gov. So instead of Americans paying the highest drug prices in the world, which we have for decades, we will now be paying the lowest cost paid by any other nation. So any other nation that's paying the lowest cost, that's what we're going to pay. And the American
pause.
Will get the savings. So I have to.
So he's talking a lot about the drug prices coming down, which he negotiated on. It was a curious way that he did this, right? Because Kamala famously threatened, we're going to snatch their drug patents unless they drop the prices of pharmaceuticals. You remember all that shit?
Yeah.
Trump didn't do that. He basically negotiated, albeit with some strong arm tactics, to try and get them to drop the price. So he didn't take like a statist kind of socialized medicine approach, which I appreciate. The big if is, what do we do? Okay, we got Trump RX. So you're gonna be buying pharmaceuticals from the government? I'm not wild about that shit. I'm not sure. Or maybe it just is a collator that sort of links you to a bunch of pharmaceutical websites for your medications. I would
think that sounds a bit more likely. I don't think like the government would have these drugs. I think they would perhaps these companies would provide them links or suppliers.
Yeah.
Let's find out more.
It's all part of this great big Obamacare goat fuck where healthcare has been boned ever since 2009, 2010, right? Before that, we had pretty cheap healthcare, right? And it's funny because at the time we were being hit with so much propaganda. Nobody can afford healthcare. Nobody can afford healthcare. Well, now it's 3 times as expensive, but because of Obamacare and because there's a partisan political element to it, half the country is just morally committed to the idea of pretending that it's more affordable. But it's not. More people are covered, but the coverage is shittier and it's like 3 times as expensive. I've told this story before, but back in 2007, dude, I was paying I don't know, $65 a month or something like that for my healthcare. Everything was covered. Dental, freaking my doctor, everything, absolutely everything. Fast forward, I think I pay almost $300 a month or something for my healthcare. It's absolutely insane. Everything skyrocketed. And of course, the options plummeted. The number of options plummeted, especially here in Arizona, where we went from having dozens of healthcare programs immediately after Obamacare. All of a sudden, that dropped down to 2 companies. And unless you're in Maricopa County, if you're outside Maricopa County, there's 1 company. That's it. There's 1 company left that you can go with. That's the legacy of Obamacare. And I think, are you of the mind like I am that it was purposely shitty so that they could just transition us to full-blown Bernie Bolshevik single payer?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no question.
Yeah.
It's Obama made fucking Obamacare because he was going to get a payoff from the insurance companies. After he was president, they were paying him tens of thousands of dollars for appearances at talks and whatnot.
Yeah.
No, that was, I forget what exactly it's called, but he was for hire. He sold out. He made this law to make all of his buddies rich, and they gave him a kickback for it. That's it. It's as simple as it can be.
Yep. Continue.
The lowest price in the world is what you're going to pay. Before, you were paying the highest price in the world by far, and the politicians did nothing about it. So I'm asking Congress to complete the work that we've started.
Sorry, but pause just for a moment. He said, and the politicians did nothing about it. They had a vested interest in doing nothing about it.
Yeah.
Right. The lobbying from the healthcare company. Nobody wanted Obamacare more than those healthcare companies, because they went from being a near monopoly to an actual government mandated monopoly. I've said this before, antitrust and government intervention and government regulation of corporations is what creates monopolies. Because until that happens, they really don't have a vector to bribe our entire political class, right? There's no reason for the politician to take the money other than just being greedy. And believe it or not, not every politician's greedy, but suddenly you put lobbyists in there and now you've got a cottage industry where it's just the circle of shite, Simba. They passed the regulations cut out all of their competitors. How many healthcare companies went out of business or were consolidated by big guys like Aetna and so forth? And they pay the lobbyist pays the politician passes what? More regulations, and on it goes. Nobody loves more regulation. Nobody loves antitrust more than the big healthcare companies, than the big corporations, because it takes what's kind of a pseudo monopoly and it makes it a full fucking bore monopoly. Anyway, continue.
insurance premiums by stopping government payoffs to big insurance companies and sending that money directly to the people. Obamacare was designed to make insurance companies rich. I call it the Unaffordable Care Act, with billions of dollars in taxpayer subsidies that helped their stock prices skyrocket over 1,700%.
Yep.
As you paid more money for healthcare every single year, more and more. The premiums went higher and higher. I want to end this flagrant scam and put extra money straight into the healthcare savings account in your name, and you go out and buy your own healthcare, and you'll make a great deal. You get
Okay,
better
so pause
healthcare for
now.
less money.
So
That way,
so healthcare savings account. So now it sounds like each citizen is going to be assigned a healthcare savings account, and then they turn around and put that into private healthcare. Am I picking up what he's laying down here?
That sounds correct.
The healthcare savings account. That's what it sounded like. That's what it sounded like. Anyway, keep going.
you can choose the care that is right for your family. To further reduce insurance premiums, my plan ends the giant kickbacks to insurance brokers and corporate middlemen that only drive up the costs, and that's what they're intended to do, drive up the cost. But
Good.
we're driving down the costs. And it fully funds a long neglected part of the law known as the Cost Sharing Reduction Program. This measure alone should cut premiums on the most popular Obamacare plans. It's hard to believe there are any, because it's a hated program. It's unaffordable, but it's going to cut.
I mean, pause for a second. He says the most popular Obamacare. What? How are you defining popular? More people are enrolled in it. Well, they fine you if you don't.
Yeah, they don't have a choice.
It's popular. It's like putting a gun to somebody's head and saying "suck my dick," and somebody coming along and going, "Wow, fellatio's really popular." Like, no shit. It's skyrocketed in popularity right around the time you put buckshot up to their brainstem. But anyway, keep going.
Next, the Great Healthcare Plan. That's the name. It's called the Great Healthcare because it's great healthcare at a lower price. Mandates unprecedented accountability and transparency from insurance companies and all healthcare providers so that special interests can no longer profiteer at your expense. As the saying goes, sunlight is the best disinfectant. That is why my plan orders all insurance companies to publish rate and coverage comparisons in very plain English. It requires insurers to publish detailed information about how much of your money they're going to be paying out in claims versus how much they're taking in profits. In other words, you will be able to watch the scam. It forces them to release detailed data on how many claims are being denied and whether those denials are eventually overturned on appeal. And most importantly, it will require any hospital or insurer who accepts Medicare or Medicaid to prominently post all prices at their place of business so that you are never surprised and you can easily shop for a better deal or better care. And you're going to end up doing both. You're going to get a better deal and better care. We will have maximum price.
You can tell he comes from corporate finance because he keeps repeating the same thing twice. That's the classic. That's the classic salesman thing to do. Say a thing, then repeat it again. He keeps doing that over and over again. You can see why he got elected. I'm not sure how I feel about this. There are things I like about it and things I don't.
The transparency thing, I'm totally behind. Putting pressure on the insurance companies to publish all of their data. Brilliant.
Yeah. I do not like the savings account for hey, you know what my savings account for my healthcare is? My savings account.
Yeah.
The fuck? Just get the government out of it. There's not one demonstrable way by which our healthcare wasn't better in 2007 than it is now. Just repeal. You know, he ran on repeal and replace. We never got to the repeal part, did we? That's the thing. He's like jumping straight to replace before the repeal. That's kind of my functional issue with this. It doesn't sound like the worst thing in history, but it's like I hate half of it like poison, and the other half is like, it's better than what we have.
I can see him getting to the replace first if it means he's going to repeal second. Having something in place so we can safely get rid of the Obamacare cancer.
Yep. I mean, that is the tough part, and I can understand why he would have to take this position. What's the old axiom? I think it's actually from one of my videos. Like if California passed a law that mandated the government has to wipe your ass, if you tried to take the program away, people would ask, well, who's going to wipe my ass? Right? He's in that position. Whenever you pass a big bloated government program like this, when you try and take it away, people are going to be like, no, my drugs. It just is that way. It just is. And of course, no thanks to, can we all briefly take a urination break to piss on John McCain's grave? Because that man got up off his deathbed with his brain tumor surgery scar still above his eyebrow just to save Obamacare. We had the votes. It was saved by John McCain, who, by the way, ran in 2016 or 2018. I can't remember. He ran in that last election on repealing Obamacare. So rest in piss. But anyway, let's finish this up, and then we'll give our final thoughts.
And costs will come down incredibly. I'm calling on Congress to pass this framework into law without delay. Have to do it right now so that we can get immediate relief to the American people, the people I love. Thank you very much.
Okay, Taryn, I've been giving my thoughts the whole time. Yours.
I think it's a step forward in the right direction.
Yeah.
I want to hear more about it. I want the specifics. I want to know exactly if this is a sort of healthcare savings account. I want to know where the money's coming from, how a person can use it, and is it extremely limited? Can I take this to only specific people? Can I use this money for specific companies? Like, I just need more details.
Yeah, it is kind of ambiguous. I mean, he describes some of the stuff that's going to happen. He emphasized how drug prices are going to fall. He emphasized that drug companies are going to have to list their prices. I don't know. Aren't drug companies usually listing their prices? I bought my healthcare and whatnot, and they had all of their prices listed. I don't think that's that big of a problem, but I get what he's driving at here. It just, it feels like half and half to me. Half of it, I don't know, apprehensively on board with. The other half, I would like to defecate on. I'm not wild about it. So it just, I'm not wild about that in general, honestly. What your final estimation, good or bad? Just baby step in the right direction?
Baby step. I'm leaning towards good. It sounds like he actually did put a lot of thought into this. That's what I've been noticing lately. Like, especially with this term, everything he has done with a lot of care and a lot of thought. And it really does help that he has the right people around him this time.
Yeah, that's another thing is we did just lose Bongino. We didn't even really talk about it. He wasn't exactly impressing in his position. But one thing that has been interesting about this particular term for Trump is, you remember in 2016, most of his cabinet within like 3 months was gone. Like, it was just, they were
that was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, one person after another dead. This time around, there's been 1 or 2 resignations, but pretty much everybody else who was originally in place still is there. So I have to say, like, keeping the shit blizzard from blowing has definitely been a mission accomplished for the second Trump administration, what should have been the third. But folks, we have to talk about the latest effort, the latest walls are closing in moment. I don't know if you want to read this, or actually I'll read it. A new bill aims to block Trump from the 2028 ballot. A new bill has been introduced that looks to ensure that President Donald Trump is excluded from the ballot in the 2028 presidential election. California State Senator Tom Umberg, a Democrat, shock, introduced the measure about the possibility of the president serving a third term. The idea that Trump would run for a third term has circulated since the beginning of his second term last January by the president and a couple of people in his inner circle. And Trump 2028 merchandise went on sale. And you know that's just a troll. Come on. Trump, though, has repeatedly changed tack on the idea, saying at times that he wasn't joking about running, and later saying it was not something he would, it's not something I would do. The 22nd Amendment of the U.S. Constitution bars a president from serving more than 2 terms. Yes, but it's kind of not a completely settled constitutional issue of whether that includes non-consecutive terms. So I would personally not want him to run. I mean, geez, like Trump is rounding the corner on what, age 80?
Yeah.
Never mind running. He'll be lucky to be breathing in 2028, knock on wood. So I wouldn't worry about it. But I do have to say, like, you can't, I said it on Twitter. They're talking about how, Trump's going to cost everyone the midterms. Oh, the GOP are going to get absolutely shelled. Folks, this is yet another instance where I have to say, don't listen to what they are saying. Watch what they're doing. They are coping and saying that Trump is going to cost them the midterms. But what they are doing indicates that they believe the exact opposite of that statement. If Trump was cooked, there'd be no reason to recook him. There'd be no need to debar him from running again. What's your read on this? You think this is just pure spite? Because I think it's actually more than that. There is an unsettled constitutional question of whether he literally could run again. And he's not dead. So, yeah.
I see this.
Did you see RFK, by the way, say, I'm surprised he's not dead? Something like that.
Yeah, no, I did actually see that.
He's not dead. Anyway, continue.
It's tough to read this one because you got to look at it from both sides. From Trump's side, it's purely a troll. I mean, it's all distraction. Yeah. It's all fun and games. But from the Democrats' side, you got to wonder if they actually believe this shit. Like, they're pushing through, I guess, just to make sure that he can't. But
yeah, it's in accord with the flood the zone strategy that he has pursued since the advent of this second term. Let's be real. He tries to get the Democrats engaged in too many battles on too many fronts, so they can't direct their attention fully, and especially their legal apparatus, at the place where he really wants the victory. He's been very effective at that, actually, this second term. He hasn't gotten everything done, but he's been much more effective than he was the first time around, right? It's not a perfect world. You're never going to get absolutely everything that you want. But that strategy has worked for the most part. It's a belt and suspenders approach to make sure that his delusion doesn't become reality, Umberg said in a press release about the bill. It's not the only resolution that has been filed. This is the thing that indicates to me that not all is according to their public narrative. Has been filed pertaining to the president running for a third term. In January 2025, a resolution was introduced by Representative Andy Ogles, a Tennessee Republican, to amend the portion of the Constitution that prevents a president from being elected more than twice. The wording of that amendment, though, would prevent other two-term presidents like Barack Obama from running for a third term, as it applies only to those who have served 2 non-consecutive terms. Trump is the only living person to fit that description. Of course, the only other president to do that, I believe, was Grover Cleveland. And if you'll recall, in the lead up to the 2024 election, whenever you would list the Grover Cleveland example, everyone was like, well, the world has changed. I had people who were ostensibly on the right hit back at me on this. Trump will never do it because the world has completely changed. And Grover Cleveland was only able to do that because X, Y, and Z, what happened to be true about the Gilded Age that is no longer true now. And then abracadabra, bitch. The U.S. Constitution's 22nd Amendment clearly bars presidents from being elected more than twice. It states no person shall be elected more than twice. However, some Trump supporters, as well as the president himself, have suggested that there could be ways around it. In March 2025, Trump told NBC's Kristen Welker he was not joking about considering a third term, adding there were methods which you could do it. He went on to shift his position, though, while speaking to Welker in a further interview in May. I'll be an 8-year president. I'll be a 2-term president, he said. I always thought that was very important. So, yeah. What's your... I think it's just kind of more flood the zone. He's trying to keep Democrats distracted, and they're obliging him.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree with that. It was a troll to begin with, but then he kind of leaned into it, I think, when he saw the way the Democrats reacted.
Oh, yeah. No kidding, dude. Do you have... Speaking of which, Trump threatening to drop the Insurrection Act on Minnesomalia, which we should really, really talk about today, because that's the other big thing. This is the great dichotomy. Iran is literally in the middle of a possible revolution, and the United States media has done everything it possibly can to talk about Minnesota instead. And it's obvious why that is. The financial resources of the Democratic Party, of which the mainstream media is simply the press corps at this point, let's be honest, are committed exclusively in Minnesota. It took too long after the shooting to get all these protesters out in the streets. It took too long. Why did it take that long? Because they had to get their ducks in a row. They had to pay people. They had to get people on U-Hauls. They had to bus in the protesters.
Yep.
The Communist Party USA now that is down there on the ground. I'm sure we'll talk about all this shit. But do you have that story, man?
Yeah, it's already up.
All right.
All right. White House says Insurrection Act threats sent clear message to Democrats. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said Thursday, that President Donald Trump's threats to enact the Insurrection Act in Minnesota spoke very loud and clear to Democrats across the country. Leavitt said it sent a message to elected officials who are using their platforms to encourage violence against federal law enforcement officers who are encouraging left-wing agitators to unlawfully obstruct legitimate law enforcement operations.
Yeah. And Tim Walz made a statement. I'll actually find that right now.
We could just turn down the temperature after months of me saying, let's fucking take it to them.
Yeah. Here we go. I got the comment, but continue to read, please.
Meanwhile, Minneapolis officials are calling for calm after a federal immigration officer shot a Venezuelan man identified as Julio Cesar Sosa.
I was told that there weren't a shitload of Venezuelans here in America just a couple of weeks ago. What the fuck happened?
In the leg during an attempted traffic stop on Wednesday night.
Wait a minute. Isn't that ideal? Weren't we just told the officer should have shot the woman in the leg? What the fuck?
The shooting, which occurred just 12 miles from where an Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE officer fatally shot Renee Nicole Good last week, prompting mass protests. A bullet point list. Hey. What to know? Trump threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act in Minnesota on Thursday, floating the first use of the provision in more than 3 decades.
Yeah, it was. I forget what the last instance was. Some kind of really violent protest or something. I can't remember what it was.
It was something in California. Maybe.
Was it? It wasn't Rodney King. I can't remember what the last instance of. You know what? I'm gonna grok it. I'm gonna be lazy for a moment.
Trump wrote on True Social, if the corrupt politicians of Minnesota don't obey the law and stop professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking...
I was correct. It was the 92 LA riots.
Right. I figured. I thought that one was big enough.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Attacking the
Wasn't
Patriots
used during the
device.
Summer of Love, though.
No.
Of course
Not. At
not.
all. Who are only trying to do their job. I will institute the Insurrection Act, which many presidents have done before me, and quickly put an end to the travesty that is taking place in that once great state. I'm working on it. The Department of Homeland Security confirmed the shooting of Sosa Celis occurred shortly before 7 p.m.
I wonder if that
Wednesday.
Sosa is bleaching his skin too. I wonder.
The agency claimed that an agent was trying to apprehend Sosa Celis during a targeted traffic stop where they were attacked by two other men wielding a shovel and a broom. In the statement, DHS said that Sosa Celis had joined the men in the attack, so the official responded by shooting him in the leg.
Venezuelan guy comes from a communist regime. This is significant. Because organizing these protests, it also came out. I don't know if you have that social media post or whatever. It's a little organization that I've talked about quite a bit. The Communist Party USA. I talked about it in my Hollywood Was Always Red video. Recently talked about it in my McCarthy video. They're actually handing out merchandise and prefabbed signs with their logo on it at these so-called protests. And the CPUSA, I would remind you, as I mentioned in those videos, is a foreign communist organization. It was founded and it was funded to the tune of millions of dollars every single year until the fall of the Berlin Wall by the Soviet Union. When the Ruskies decided to smear off themselves, the Shikoms went ahead and picked up the bill for them. So what you are watching in Minnesota, folks, is a violent domestic terror effort, essentially, because it is funded by a foreign power in defense of a foreign population, and apparently populated by a foreign population, a literal communist Venezuelan. Interesting. As I was just did a video on Pat Buchanan's Death of the West, I remember a quote from that. Foreign armies eventually go home. Immigrant armies do not. Are you done there reading that?
I mean, I can keep going. Did you want me to the post that you mentioned? Is it the dumbass with the black eye? Is that the one you wanted me to?
No. We were going to talk about Tim Walz's statement, actually. Let's go ahead and see, because right after the threat of invoking the Insurrection Act came down from Trump, suddenly Walz took a different tack.
Oh. Yes. We talked about this.
I am making a direct appeal to the president. Let's turn the temperature down. He's already turning the temperature down. Why do you think he needs so much ice? Stop this campaign of retribution. This is not who we are. And an appeal to Minnesotans. I know this is scary. We must speak out loudly, urgently, but also peacefully. We cannot fan the flames of chaos. That's what he wants. Bitch, what you want is for these demonstrations to go on, because the longer we're talking about violence against the protesters, in self-defense in both cases, we're not talking about you defrauding the Minnesota taxpayers and the federal money tit of $9+ billion. That's all this is about. This is a giant distraction from Tim Walz and the obvious corruption that was uncovered by Nick Shirley, which I believe he put out a new video. We should have really had that lined up to kind of react to some of it. Because he checked in with kind of an update on that. But what's your read on that statement from Timbo there, Taryn?
No, I mean, you summed it up pretty nice. He knows his ass is pretty much done.
Yep, poor Tim Walz.
He's trying to buy time. That's what I see this as, is just buying time.
Yeah. He has reached the age where he can no longer sustain an insurrection. That's where we're at, folks. It's honestly, when you've imported half the population of Somalia, though, Is it really an insurrection or is it more of an outsurrection? That's kind of what I'm getting from this. We got foreign-funded organizations, the Communist Party USA, defending a foreign population. We got foreigners among the rioters. This isn't really an insurrection. I don't think the Insurrection Act applies. This is kind of an act of foreign aggression that just happens to be taking place on American soil. But of course, the latest sob story in that case has been this protester fella. Let me see if I can share this.
Oh, no, I mean, I got it.
I got it.
Up.
Here we go. 21-year-old activist injured by ice. I will be blind for life. I have fractures in my skull that they can't fix. I can't sneeze or cough because it's dangerous to. Well, shoot, let's just listen to him.
What can you tell us about your injuries now and the prognosis? Will you be blind in that eye for life?
From what I've heard the doctors say and everyone else, yes, I will be blind for life.
That voice?
What?
Was
that actually him?
Has the voice ever fit the face more and the politics for that matter?
They said my globe was ruptured. I had my lower lid was like.
Is this a trans person? Serious question.
I have no idea.
Is this a trans person? I'm getting that's a woman, baby. I'm getting kind of vibes here.
Cut up, and they had to take skin from my temple to fix it. There's a lot to it. I don't remember all the things that they said. I have fractures in my skull that they can't fix, and I can't sneeze or cough because it's dangerous too. I remember also when I shot, there was pepper in it, and I had pepper down my throat. It made it hard to breathe for a long time. They pulled a piece.
It's great when you're trying to perpetuate the apolitical victim narrative to mention that you rioted previously and got pepperballed. That's it's great. It's brilliant tactics there, Trotsky. Good job. Way to paint yourself as an ideologue.
Piece of plastic the size of a nickel out of my eye.
Yeah.
They said I had shards of metal, glass, and plastic all throughout my eye and behind my eye and in my skull. And they also said that I had a piece of shrapnel metal about a few millimeters away from my carotid artery. And they said it was a miracle I survived because if it got any closer, if it hit that, I would have died that night.
Totally blind right now? You see nothing out of the eye?
Nothing out of the eye. Yeah, it's black.
Have you seen some of these female protesters, though? I mean, blindness among Bolshevik broads isn't a glitch, it's a feature.
Boy.
Hey, you rioted on behalf of communist China. Let them pay your medical bills, shit dick. Or shit lady dick. I don't know. That's a trans person, my dude. That is a trans person.
That's a woman, baby.
That's a woman, baby. JJM director, just think if France decided not to intervene in a little world called the American Revolution, we wouldn't have a country. Extremism in defense of liberty is no vice. See, I don't even see it as intercession. That was intercession. This really isn't. We created this problem and then we just ran. Oops. Hold on. This is the second part of a double super chat. Let me see if I can find the first. I can't. Oh, here we go. Also the Jews. There we go.
Also the Jews, yes.
Good contribution. I blame the British for everything. All right. Tim Horse Milk Guzzler Waltz. Do Barbosas believe in ghost stories speech as Trump, except he's asking the Dems if they believe in nightmares? What? What is that? I'm clearly too much of a boomer here. Minnesotan here. Everyone outside of the downtown areas support ICE and want the Somalians out along with all the rioters. How can we fix this state? The raids have to continue. And I think that's another part of this, beyond distracting from Tim Walz's corruption. As long as the riots are going on, ICE can't do its operations and deport mass numbers of immigrants, which is what they need to do. It's absolutely what they need to do, especially any of the people who have been involved in the fraud, which sounds like a large number of people. I mean, shoot, if you just deported the people who were only implicated in the fraud, probably it would have a significant effect on future Minnesota elections. by itself. Would you agree with that, or?
Yeah.
Because from what it sounds like, it's so widespread. We're talking about thousands upon thousands of people.
Yeah,
not a small number.
This Minnesota is going to be probably the most difficult one to fix, just because it was sabotaged on purpose. Let's not mince words here. Everything that happened in Minnesota was on purpose. You good? Oh, did you accidentally? Oh, yeah, you're mute. Try again.
Can you hear me?
Yep, now. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. Came unplugged for a second. All right, there we go. Reaper Grimm, I like how Trump's main effective strategy is just pointing out how nothing he does that Dems hate is unprecedented. Other presidents have done these things. Absolutely. Commander Wolf, the Dems trying to bar Trump for a theoretical third term is laughable, considering not too long ago, Dems on their hands and knee pads were wanting Obama to have a third term. I do remember that. Love the troller in chief. Godspeed, RazörForce. And again, I think it's mostly just flood the zone. As long as you can keep the Democrats distracted, that's half the battle. All right. The Trump 2028 meme is breaking left minds. To celebrate the successful fund. See, here's the thing, though. Why do they need to bar Trump? I thought his administration was already over after he made the comments about Rob Reiner, right? Right? Remember that? The Rob Reiner comments have ended the Trump presidency. It's so crucial that you not get
the walls are closing in again.
The walls have never been more closed in than they are now. It's so incredibly important that you not get caught up in the BS of the moment. It's so important. I don't know what this means. I don't know who Tiggy is. Something about their PC. I don't know. Trump still hasn't audited the Fed, right? Impeach. All right. Dave Smith says Bongino has no place on the right. Well, Dave Smith has no business in podcasting, so. My boy, where is your testosterone? I think they take it in pill form, actually. Boy. Norma Alman, shout out to Goldie Kamari and Tosi TV for covering the Iranian Revolution. Go watch them. Those are, I believe, Iranian expats who have been covering a lot of what's been going on. It's tough even getting information out of there, and you have to be careful with the fog of war there, because gosh, have you seen some of the estimated casualty figures? They're getting more and more ridiculous.
It's getting out of hand.
I don't believe any of it. It wouldn't surprise me if it's up over 1,000, but I'm seeing estimates of 12,000, 15,000. It's like, come on, guys. Come on. And it's the same vibe I got from Palestine, but you're not allowed to call those numbers bullshit because, on the internet, we Juiceburg from dawn to dusk. So if you criticize communist Palestine at all, you're a fucking whore for Israel, right? But it's the same fucking thing in both cases. Both sets of numbers are complete bullshit. Genocide. Fuck you. There's no fucking genocide in either case. Shut the fuck up.
I will say shortly about the situation, and I mean, we don't need to go on about it. The comparisons of what's happening in Iran and, the Free Palestine crowd. We did actually talk about this a little last time we were on, but just the hypocrisy. We know why people aren't saying anything about Iran. We know why Britain, the BBC isn't talking about it.
Yeah, they didn't last time, dude. They did not cover the 2019 stuff at all. During the Arab Spring, they were all on, and I'm sorry I misspoke in that short that we put up. I kept saying Gaddafi in Egypt. I have this weird freaking dyslexia thing where I transpose one for the, I meant Mubarak. So Mubarak in Egypt and Gaddafi in Libya, they wanted to get rid of. So the media was just banging the war drum during the Arab Spring on Mubarak and on Gaddafi because they wanted to get rid of both of them, right? They hardly talked about Iran at all. Why? Because it was probably the only Arab Spring protest that wasn't astroturfed. Because you don't need to twist the Iranian people's arm very hard to get them to riot against an occupied Arab regime in a non-Arab country. It's not that hard, folks. They don't like their regime at all, as you can see.
Harvey brings up a good point in chat. The BBC don't want to give the bongs ideas. That might also be part of it.
Good point. DRT is king. With the Iranian situation, the IRGC and Ayatollah, they fund the terror groups all throughout the Middle East. Without them, the 2030s will be a peaceful Middle East. Then we can stop paying for them. See, I don't know that we would have peace because you still have regimes like that, and they would get their funding from somewhere else. Because a lot of the Iranian funding right now comes from China, comes from Russia. China and Russia aren't going anywhere anytime soon anyways. So they'd still have a way to get funding to Syria, to Turkey, and so forth. The Iranian regime was installed by Turkey. It was installed by by Syria, France to a large degree, and the Soviet Union helped install the Ayatollah's regime. So there's still ways for them to get funding. There still are. But the good thing about having the Shah back in power, whether in a parliamentary situation or just as a figurehead with more of a democratic situation, whatever it winds up being, you would have a relatively westernized power that would be a moderating influence in the region and would, as you said, not be funding a lot of this terror stuff. Just taking a lot of that money pool out of the equation would definitely, as Tim Walsh says, lower the temperature. Someone forgot to plug Razör into charge, right? Emperor Creatine, with the extent of Minnesota's fraud and the knowledge that basically every blue state is similar, how many elections in the past 20 plus years were stolen? Shit. You guys know in 2018, I was banging the drum of Martha McSally having been defrauded in the election against Kyrsten Sinema. That was really obvious. Arizona, up until that point, had prided itself on being able to have mail-in ballots counted the morning of. So, like, they would basically count 90% of the mail-in ballots, and you'd pretty much have a good idea of who was going to win. And then the election day total would come in, and that was pretty much, okay, now you've got your winner. And we would have the winner on election night. And the reason why we did that is because in 2002, we had a really sketchy election for governor, and it was like months. It was 2.5 months or something before we knew that it was Janet Napolitano who wound up winning that election. And after that, we really tightened up our election. Oh, no, we got to have them counted the morning of, right? Suddenly, every single election since 2018, oh, we're complete fuck-ups and we can't get all the mail-in ballots counted on election morning anymore. And conveniently, we just keep counting and counting and counting until the Democrat wins. And it's been 3 or 4 election cycles now. Like, do you think we're fucking retards? You think we're stupid? We saw the elections before that. Your own election officials bragged about being able to have them all counted. So I would say Arizona is ground zero. Nevada for a long time, that Harry Reid fraud machine out there in Nevada was legendary, absolutely legendary. And we know that there was election interference at a minimum in the 2012 presidential election. You remember Obama sicking the IRS on conservative like PACs and stuff during that election cycle. So consequently, Romney couldn't really get the funding and organization that he needed in order to even be remotely competitive with Barack Obama. He probably still loses because he's still Mitt Mormo, but that really hamstrung Republicans in that election cycle. And it may have affected more than just Mitt Romney. It may have affected people down ticket. Any others that you can think of, Taryn?
No, you took me back to Martha McSally. I completely forgot about that. Like, how long did that take? It took like a week for some reason.
No, it took way more than that. It was like almost a month. And they kept counting and counting and counting and counting. Keep in mind, she was ahead by 2% with 99% of precincts reporting. And they just kept finding mail-in ballots.
Votes. Yeah.
They just kept counting and counting and counting. Oh, look, I found more mail-in ballots. They found over 150,000 mail-in ballots that just plumb slipped their mind. Just forgot about them. The guy in charge of that election, by the way, Adrian Fontes, is still in the government. He's still in there and still connected to elections. Arizona's ground zero for this. If we can fix the problem in Arizona, we can fix it anywhere. Michael McLeod, on a related note, what can be done about domestic Islamization? A lot of that is connected to immigration, I would say. So if we're deporting people in these mass refugee resettlement programs that have now thankfully been discontinued under Trump, and we don't continue anymore, and we deport many of the ones that we already have, you've already begun to address that issue. You've already begun to address. The other issue is, it is not enough to be passively anti-Islamic. You must be actively pro-Christian. We need more churches and less mosques. That's another thing. And one of the saddest things that I see in Europe is centuries old Gothic church, or century and a half old Gothic church, and now it's a mosque, right? Oh, German Gothic church dating back to the 1400s, and now it's got a great big Islamic crescent on top, and they're calling out to the prayer to Mecca. Oh, you see that more and more and more. So we've got to deport, and we need to continue to Christianize. Thankfully, the latter half of that equation is beginning to happen. Apparently, oh man, what was it that I saw? I don't want to get this wrong, but it was something to the effect of mainline Christianity didn't lose members for the first time in like 20 years or something last year. So, which is major. That's major, because I was raised in the church. My father's an ordained minister. I watched my sort of seeker-friendly church back then completely implode about 20 plus years ago. So this was like doomsday for a long period of time, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And last year was the first time in a long time that it was actually reversed, which, praise God, that's a really, really cool development. Sonic Boomers, Trump 2028 fear is admission. They cannot and have never beaten Trump. You don't talk like that to someone you have 2-1. And one had 81 million votes. My favorite
More votes than Obama.
Dude, my favorite Biden gaffes were when he would, the one or two occasions where he went off script and started bragging about the 81 million votes. It was like, dude, you knew his handlers were like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Don't call attention to it. You know they were, bro. And here in thoughts on people saying things like whoever runs DHS along with the Groypers require Trump needs to be professional. On one part, I understand gatekeeping, but I also disdain moderates as their very nature is unprincipled vibes. Whoever runs DHS requires Trump to be professional. I assume you mean to be professional on social media, or professional in like press conferences instead of trolling the media, that kind of thing.
See, this
you
is
have
what
you
I
have a
go
thought
through
on
every
that?
Friday.
See, here's the thing. Trump doesn't happen if that approach works. And that's if this is the question you're asking. I'm sorry, it was worded so weird. This is how I'm going to answer. But if that worked, then Jimmy Arms McCain would have gotten elected. Mitt Mormo would have been elected. Trump happens because that approach doesn't work. You got Trump for this reason. I think it's kind of a tone-deaf read. What about you? The whole point of Trump is the unrepentance, right? The whole point of Trump is he's the guy who comes in and does the thing that has to be done, and he doesn't apologize for it. That's it.
Yeah. I don't get what's going on with the Groypers. I just sort of just cut them off in my brain. It's like, oh, that's the Nick Fuentes group.
It's simple. They're leftists. That's it. They're leftists. That's it.
So I just
it's no more complicated than that. So they're whatever is gonna help the left, because it's all about destabilizing that so they can inherit the party. All right, let's see here. We do have Rumble rants. Hold on.
Oh yeah, I had to list up.
Trump is finding it easier to deal with foreign regimes than the traitorous government of the country where he is the president of the United States. I think we all saw that, though. We all knew that was going to happen. Why? Because it already happened in 2016, did it not? So, all right, let me see if there's any other. I'm trying to. Hey, where do you find those?
I just bring up the chat. I don't have any access to the account per se, so I just go into the chat and look who.
Okay, well, I found one. So here we go.
I've got 2 others here from
Okay.
earlier. Logan, both from Logan. Some
Those
see
are
Trump.
rumble ramps. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, good. Could you please keep on top of that so that
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Some see Trump acting as a bully or an idiot, or as a monkey with a machine gun, confusing it for the New York hard-talking and ruthless businessman. That is all. Slightly off
Indeed.
topic. I got a new job tomorrow. Bus driver for the city. Went to them for the insane benefits. They have pet insurance for 50 cents.
What? Oh yeah, I mean, I've heard of that actually. I've heard of that. I do. It reminds me of that Dennis Miller bit where it's like, can you imagine what the Islamic terrorists are thinking from their bunker in Afghanistan? They look over at America. They're as hard as can be. They're like eating nails and shitting bricks. And over in America, we can get our pet medications delivered to our door. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? What is wrong with us? What is wrong with us? Speaking of what is wrong with, I saw this just a few days. It came down this week. And there's been a much ado over the last year about late night comedy. Now, back in the day, like a big influence for me, believe it or not, even though he's a shit lib, was David Letterman. I always liked David Letterman in like the late 90s. I thought he was pretty funny. Then I jumped on. I thought Conan O'Brien was pretty good for a while. And I am a big time fan of Craig Ferguson, as you guys know. But ever since, dude, late night has been beshitted. Ever since. It's completely dead and gone. And the cope about why it's gone is just insufferable. So I wanted to play this because Conan O'Brien was interviewed, get this, dude, by Oxford University. Oxford is interviewing Conan O'Brien, the same guy who interviewed Gold Dust, and he dry humped him on national television. This is what Oxford is troubling themselves with. But I wanted to get your read on this interview. I clipped it myself because it's a really long interview. So this is just the one clip where he's talking about, well, the metamorphosis, the transmogrification of late night basically into political proselytism, which is hilarious because he has no small culpability in that.
People that maybe know less about comedy or haven't given it a lot of thought say, oh my God, Trump is president. This must be so great for comedy. And I think it's not. When I was on the Lampoon, one of the things we were famous for is doing parodies of magazines. There was one magazine we could never do a parody of, which is the National Enquirer. I don't know if you have that here, but in the States, the National Enquirer is the one that says, Elvis found in Titanic lifeboat 105 years after sinking. He is now a woman and he's married a giant peanut butter sandwich. How do you parody that? You can't. And I think with Trump, we have a similar situation in comedy, which is people saying, we've got a great Trump sketch for you. In this one, he's kind of talking crazy. And he's saying stuff, and he tears down half the White House to build a giant ballroom. And he says it's going to be the new Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, no, that happened yesterday. Oh, well, where's my check? You don't get a check.
Holy shit, Taryn. Holy shit. Trump built a large room with a smooth floor with his own money. Did you hear that? He's crazy.
Absolutely insane.
You're
He should have
right,
built a
Coco.
basketball court.
Yeah, he's a cartoon. Scooby and the gang are sauntering past as we speak. I'll let him finish prattling.
Come back to me and tell me when you've got an idea. And so comedy needs a straight line to go off of. And we don't have a straight line right now.
That's the reason late night has fallen from prominence, Taryn.
Oh.
It's because Trump is resistant to... Look, I used to dig Conan. There was a period in the early aughts where his show was legitimately one of the funniest things you could watch on TV that wasn't an episode of Cops, right? But ever since the sort of aging process slowly turned him into Tilda Swinton, this dude is about as funny as a school bus fire. It just must be said. He's towards the end. When did he get canceled? Like 2021? Something like that? His TBS show?
Yeah. That sounds
He
about
had
right.
gone full propagandist at the time. He was all in on vaccines. Period. Right? Like,
Oh, they all were.
dude, it's not that late night comedians can't parody Trump because he's beyond parody. It's that you're the fucking parody. And Trump himself is usually fucking funnier than you. And the proof of that fact is that prior to running as a Republican and, daring to defeat a cackling, pan-faced whore, you used to have Trump on your shows, every other week? Was it Jimmy Fallon? He had touched his hair, and they shit all over him for doing that. Remember that? I don't get that.
No, late night's dead as far as I'm concerned.
It's totally dead. It's totally dead. They don't get that we elected Trump as just a cyclopean middle finger to that right there. This, what we're watching right here. And I would add too, in this interview, I watched the full thing. Prior to this portion of the interview, Conan does chin-ups on Obama's dick for about 8 uninterrupted minutes. He's describing this White House Correspondents' Dinner roast, and he called Obama's performance, and I quote, a mic drop. A mic drop. Did you see some of those? Buddy, you're confused, Coco. That was the sound of Big Mike's balls dropping. Rookie mistake. Let's talk about Obama's comedic material. The shit that Conan's calling a mic drop. You remember Obama's cringy little clapback on Trump's tweet about how Obama will go down as the worst president? You remember that?
Oh, of course. It's the one where he basically said, at least I will go down as a president.
Right. Cue applause sign. No, bitch, you'll go down on a gap-toothed crackhead in the back of a taxi cab for 2 bumps of blow and a BJ. Shut the fuck up.
And then
Trump
allegedly kill one of your cooks.
Yes.
Sorry, what?
It's not that Trump is beyond parody. It's that he's funnier than you. That's it. Trump has written better material in 1 a.m. bathroom tweets while he is actively crowning on the can. The times haven't just passed you by, Conan. They have lapped your ass at the equator. And that's why this whole format is damn dead. What's Conan even doing? He's even doing like a podcast now?
They all are.
All of them.
Isn't that hilarious?
Yeah. And the only good one is, again, Craig Ferguson. He'll literally just sit there with his webcam on and he'll riff for 20 minutes and it'll be brilliant. And he never gets into politics, ever. Not one political remark, nothing. Meanwhile, this guy was dancing with fucking vaccine syringes or whatever the hell he was doing. He didn't do the Colbert dancing with vaccines thing, but he did something else. Do you remember?
No, God, I cannot tell you when the last time was I watched Conan.
Oh,
like
well,
it had to be like the 2010s. Or no, before that, the 2000s.
Yeah. All trues. Why does Jimmy Dore sound like a leftist now? I don't know. I don't watch him. I have no idea. Bushy atheist here. Prague subverting the movement primed me for Gamergate. So when they came for Vidya, I knew their playbook. Now, I don't believe, but I see the social, cultural utility, and at least the Christians will leave me be. Many such cases. Many such cases. Intrinsic Dark. Godspeed, bro. I'm a fairly H.W. Metzger. I'm in a fairly small town, and there are 90 people in my Order of Christian Initiation of Adults class. Wow. It is wild. My father attends a different church from me, and I went out to dinner with him just a few days ago, and he was telling me after Charlie Kirk's death, they had to go to like 3 services. There were so many people in the building. They couldn't pack them all in, dude. They couldn't pack them all in. They got bigger and bigger and bigger. Talk about a freaking legacy, dude.
You were talking about Christianity growing earlier. I was going to point out it's getting really popular with Gen Z and even Gen A.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm
I mean,
starting
what
to
do you
see that a lot online.
What do you ascribe that to?
Honestly, rebellion. they see something like Charlie Kirk happening and they're going, oh my God, they killed this poor man over. And also, I'm willing to bet a lot of shit from their parents.
See, I take a different tack. I think COVID hit like a meteor.
That
and
too.
it kind of shook daily existence to the core. Everything that they sort of took for granted, just being able to go outside. When the act of going outside changes, your entire world changes. So I think they were, with the world in this state of flux, which it's never really left. The political paradigm that shifted at that point never really shifted back. They were looking for something a little bit more enduring, something more foundational for them to wrap their meaty paws around and just hold on for dear life. And there were churches who failed. There was a test there. There was a moral test there. And an awful lot, far too many churches failed that moral test, where they had a choice: abide by the government dictum, not all of which impelled you by force to close down and shut down, lock down, whatever, for weeks and weeks, worship online, the whole thing. Or you could stand your ground and say, no, we're not going to do that. Separation of church and state. We are going to stand our ground. We're going to continue to take the sacrament. The word will be worthily preached and the sacraments worthily dispensed. We stand our ground. We can not move from this spot. The churches that did that have inherited the earth, and the ones that didn't, and sadly, confessional Lutheranism, LCMS specifically, did not stand their ground. They were wishy-washy as hell. They locked down. They were wimpy. My church, which is not LCMS, not considered as confessional, stood their ground and didn't lock down. That's a big reason why they're my congregation. There's an LCMS church right down the road. I could go to it, but I refuse. I won't go because you guys cucked during COVID. I think that's a big component of it. They were looking, school was in flux. Their jobs were in flux. The government was in flux. Morality was in flux. The political paradigm was in flux. Entertainment was in flux. Every fucking thing was in flux. They just wanted to walk into a church and have something stable, something that had been standing for centuries. And what did they get? Pride flags and female bishops. Lockdowns. Communion via the internet. The churches that didn't do that have inherited the earth. They are being blessed by God right now because of that. So that I think that's really what it comes down to, personally. The new guy: is Fascism, Doctrine and Institutions the same book as The Doctrine of Fascism? Yes. Both are attributed to Mussolini. Yes. But the former is Italian and the latter in English. Which do you own? Thanks. I have Fascism, Doctrines and Institutions. No. I have the reprint of The Doctrine of Fascism. It is co-written by Giovanni Gentile and Benito Mussolini, but it's the same text. I think it has some kind of commentary on it, but it's like a pamphlet. It's like this big. It's not a huge tome.
We did get another one on Rumble. Mm-hmm. Grizzly Beardo, respectfully, Arizona was not ground zero for the commies. It has always been here in Minnesota. Al Franken won on discovered ballots.
I remember that.
The same year, Black Bloc made its U.S. premiere at the RNC in St. Paul.
I remember that. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Minnesota's always been lean blue, but boy, the point of the Obama refugee resettlement program out of Somalia was, okay, let's lock that in. Let's ship them all into Minneapolis, and we will just have a deep blue block there forever. It will be inextricable. And it's pretty much going off that way. Unless there are mass deportations and enough raids that a lot of Somalis self-deport, you're going to be looking at that for the foreseeable future. One of the things I do have to say is when people are like, hey, let's take in this Canadian province. Let's make Canada the 51st state and shit. It's like, really? How about you have a look over at Minnesota? Because that's what you're looking at. That's what you'd be taking in as the 51st state, is one gigantic Minnesota. The most. I didn't know Sebulba was a white trans person. I'm betting heavily on Sebulba. He always wins.
Did you see they're making a new racer?
Are they?
Yep,
Sweet.
Galactic Racing, and Sebulba's coming back.
Good. Is it pod racing or
It's everything. It's
speeder bikes and all that?
speeder bikes, it's pods, it's everything.
Land racer? Or
Yeah, I
sand
believe.
speeder. Sand speeder. Jegs Dino God, speaking of Minnesota, if mouth guards protect your mouth, shin guards protect your shins, what do you call those that go on your knees? Answer, George Floyd. Israel.gov. Did you know that the Epstein law that's supposed to hold the Donald Trump administration accountable has no recommended punishment for non-compliance? I like how it just sounds like Bernie Sanders. It is a near unanimous bipartisan law that has no method of enforcement. Isn't that weird, fellow Goyim? Isn't that something you should take up with Thomas Massey? That being the only legislation he's passed in his entire career? Bumcrat Jones, with China losing Venezuela, Iran, and Russian oil fueling the war in Europe, there's a chance China might not invade Taiwan because not enough oil. To say nothing of the fact that, they have to, it's an entirely naval operation. They would need a ton of oil. I mean, most of their navy still runs on diesel, I believe. Mystery guest. We should give the Persians the Lord of the Rings, the Third Age. It's such a good game, it'll westernize them. I don't think that'll be the effect. Wait a minute. I was promised Gimli, Aragorn, and Legolas, but all I got is Fimli and Fagalus and the Great Value Brand Fellowship. Atari Nobunaga. My generation, Gen Z, pretty much been on a fuck you approach toward most politics because of the antics of the millennials. People need to remember about the SJWs from 2014 and 2015 and onwards. Indeed. Jumpin' Jack Thrash, that roast of Conan O'Brien was funnier than any joke I ever heard him tell. Godspeed, bro. I just couldn't believe that when I saw it. Did you ever watch any late night shows back in the day?
Oh yeah, of course. I was very big on Letterman
back in the day.
Yep.
Bubba Doom, I see Mo's getting angrier when you read scripture to him, even if it's their own garbage. Lord forbid you share Galatians 1:6-10. I'm gonna look that up because I don't know it offhand. I'm gonna look that up while you read this, please.
Abel Bravo. Al Franken was how I learned about WikiLeaks. Somebody gave all of Norm Coleman's donors' information to Assange, who published it all, including mine and everyone else who donated bank info. Oh my God. Your bank info went out there.
Good grief. All right. I marvel that ye are so soon removed from him that called you into the grace of Christ unto another gospel, which is not another, but there be some that trouble you and would pervert the gospel of Christ. But though we, or an angel from heaven, preach any other gospel unto you than that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed. As we said before, so say I now again, if any man preach any other gospel unto you, then that ye have received, let him be accursed. For do I now persuade men or God, or do I seek to please men? For if I yet pleased men, I should not be the servant of Christ. Ooh, the gospel of the world gets the smackdown. Godspeed. Big Sauce. Greetings, Razor and Taryn. Razor, what denomination are you? I am Lutheran. Confessional Lutheran. Fly Trump. HSAs are pre-tax dollars. Also, during COVID, everyone making less than $75,000 were automatically enrolled into healthcare. So your HSA will be funded by that and your pre-tax paycheck. You allot the amount. Huh. That's not the worst, actually. I mean, given that you already have this machinery in place and Republicans are too big a wimps to overturn Obamacare, you take the existing machinery of Obamacare and you give it back, you give the money back to us to spend on the healthcare. I don't know. That kind of seems like a lateral move to me. I'm still not sure I'm sold on that.
We will have to wait and see.
Duct tape lady. America's just a dream. Now get ripped off. Like duct tape. Iron Kolosnek. When I had to drive out of state for work before finally being able to move out, I had to sign up for my employer's healthcare plan to avoid getting hit by California's Obamacare system. I know so many anecdotes, just people in my personal sphere who had similar situations. Caspian Nomad. Take the comedy and attitude of the 90s and early 2000s and the children of the people who grew up with that. Plus, feminist libs don't have kids. That's another thing. I think the apotheotic exemplar of this was the DNC in 2024. You remember this? Where they were hosting complimentary abortions in a van outside of the event.
Oh, God.
There's future-proofing your political party. Go forth and do not be fruitful or multiply. Jesus. You think Mexicans can totally... Is their vagina that much of a clown car that they're going to be able to make up that differential? I'm not so sure. McLeod, only silver lining of lockdowns was that it forced who was fake and who was real. Everyone is all talk until things get tested. Very, very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Michael Nankervis, thank you for putting me on to Elric. Been enjoying the books. Also, what do you think of the 30 Years' War as a setting for Vampire the Masquerade? I love that idea. I love that idea. The big thing with Vampire is I love the historical settings so much more, than the modern setting. Vampire Dark Age, I'm all about it. All about it. 100 Years' War, whatever. I love it. So the thing I always do before I think of like a vampire campaign is pick the time period and then research the crap out of it. Flint Westwood, glad to tune in, gentlemen. First time super chatting for you. Just wanted to say this is a good break from my studying. Have my IT network exam tomorrow. Jace, we'll get on top of these freaking communications blackouts. Do you think that was a cyber attack or not yesterday? Where freaking everybody, AT&T and Verizon and everybody all went down at the same time.
Right. I did hear about that. That does sound like DDoSing.
Sure does. Sure does. Who do you think would have been behind it? China? Iran?
I don't think Iran. Possibly China or some private company, or not company, but rather attackers trying to get like blackmail money or something.
Normal, man, the audacity of the left, the Juiceberg right, and everyone else to shout Israel while Iranians are being butchered is disgusting. Defending actual fascism. Yeah. It's like if Israel came out in favor of breathing, some of these people would suffocate inside of a minute. Mario Carter, Iran got a new Prince of Persia before GTA 6.
I love that this year so far has been so wild. A lot of people are saying we're getting this before GTA 6.
Reza Pahlavi actually has a plan for the transition. Check out the Iran Prosperity Project. The plan is to have a transition government and then have a referendum to decide what government to have. I hope so. I mean, you have to remember there was an interim period there where it wasn't the Shah who was overturned by the Ayatollah. It was the Islamic Republic that was overturned by the Ayatollah. It's kind of similar to the Soviet Revolution in the sense that you had this communistic alternative to the iron-fisted Ayatollah. So people supported the Ayatollah because they didn't want to support the commies. Kind of the same thing that happened in the Soviet Union, where most of Russia didn't support the Soviets, but at least they were anti-World War I. They were going to pull their men and boys out of the World War, which had just devastated their entire population. So kind of the same thing. So I worry that transitional government, I hope it's not, in the immortal words of Quark, a little too provisional for my tastes.
Speaking of Quark, Snicks over on Rumble. Attention, Bajoran workers. More walls, less walls.
Yes!
One protects you from murderers and therapists. I think he means rapists. And the other is gay. That is all.
Mage Leader 3699. So you guys ready for the cringe of leftists conflating the Insurrection Act with martial law? I know I am. Invoke it, Donald. No balls. I mean, what are they going to do?
Exactly.
Tim Walz has come right out and basically supported this foreign insurrection in his own state. What do you do at that point? He doesn't leave you much room to maneuver on that. I remember the Donald Trump roast, one of the few roasters who was funny when he got to the mic. That's true. The Donald Trump roast was not bad, actually. I would pay to see you versus Robert Barnes. I've been on with Robert Barnes. I don't disagree with him about everything. So he's more in the Massey camp now. And I'm not a Massey fan, as you guys know. Emperor Creatine just in at Daily Gondor. Aragorn illegally seizes vessels belonging to peaceful Umbaran seafarers in unsanctioned op by Brumber Mithrilmonger. Godspeed. Oh, God. Sonic Boomers. GOP just can't message, probably because they don't want to. The argument is not youngest and unemployment voters are lazy. It's Obamacare needs to go because only healthcare companies like it. That's true. Trump did make that point pretty well. I mean, he did a decent job of salesmanship, which is probably why I'm half on board with it. The hair salon business is going to boom in Iran now.
Oh,
Well,
God.
here's the thing, dude. Hijab in Iran is silly. It's so silly. You literally just have to have the scarf on, right? It just has to be on. So literally a woman can walk around in pretty much normal dress. Granted, she can't have cleavage or anything showing, can't have a short skirt, blah, blah, blah. But as long as she has a little headscarf on, it's fine, right? It's not like Qatar where they're running around looking like Emperor Palpatine's elite guard, you know, just totally covered and shit. It's not like that. Why is that? Because Islam in Iran's not a naturally Islamic country. So they had to adopt traits of Iranianism into the version of Islam that's in Iran. You won't find the Iranian version of Islam in any other country, because they wouldn't have been able to govern at all if they had gone whole hog the way that some other Middle Eastern Islamic countries have gone. Mario Carter. Trump can't run for a third term because he's currently serving his first term. The third term is in 2032, right? All right. As a head in a jar. Modern Minuteman movement. I'm going down the rabbit hole of no new cemeteries being built, and McDonald's makes more burgers than we have meat. Soylent Green comes to mind. Oh, I think it has more to do with the normalization of cremation. More and more people are being cremated. I notice. Old truths. People are boycotting SNK for using AI. Thoughts? What are they using AI on?
I did see this earlier. It's the newest trailer for City of Wolves. And it's pretty obvious.
They used AI to animate a trailer. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
It's just a trailer. I've played City of Wolves, but it's freaking great. I just played it the last couple of weeks. It's freaking awesome, that game.
Yeah, they're bringing back Wolfgang Krauser.
Now, that game is banging. I'm not wild about the roster. Like every single one of my favorite characters in that franchise, not in the game yet. Not in the game at all. Blargman, I've never been more hopeful or apprehensive about Iran's fall. Just hoping and praying the administration sees a viable path to victory and doesn't pussy out. These people have earned our help. More importantly, Trump said he would intervene if they killed the protesters. They killed the protesters. Your move, Trump. It is what it is. Trump chose to say that. It must be said. Richard Slammer, did you see Jim Cornette in all of his hick-lib stupidity offer a construction worker $5,000 for calling Trump a pedophile protector? Oh, the flip off? Was that what it was? The flip-off clip? Good
And what,
contribution,
like,
Tara.
you didn't let me fucking answer,
What?
you bitch. I did see that. Are we talking about, did Jim Cornette pay this guy to say that, or was
No,
like
I
he
think what he's
offering him?
saying is Jim Cornette watched the clip or heard about the clip and said, "I'll pay you $5,000 just for saying that." or something like that.
Okay, yeah, that sounds more like it.
He's such a clown. He's such an absolute clown. The Azure Nightmare, lots of black gold under Greenland's permafrost white. How do we cut the ice, you think? It has nothing to do with the oil, guys. It has nothing to do with the oil. Mage Leader, this week we lost an absolute legend, a great coffee time companion. That's right. Rest in peace. Razor's Battletech mug. Tragic. Sadly, hold on. If you'll just permit me for a moment while Taryn reads this other super chat.
Emperor Creatine, in acknowledgement of the events in Minneapolis, I hereby submit a motion to the Council of Rageaholics to give the city a more fitting name. Are there any in favor of Snogadishu?
Black cock down. All right. Fortunately, I lost one Battletech mug. I did not lose both. Fortunately, my allegiance is still secure. My House Merrick mug is still alive. Still alive and kicking with the Orion there on the back of it. So not all Battletech mugs. I support that name change, Emperor Creatine. Fantastic. McLeod, we used to have serious people like Robert Lee during the first Civil War. Even the quality of leaders have gone downhill with Tampon Tim. He doesn't want any part of a flat-out insurrection. He's trying to distract from his own corruption. Because it was just irrefutable. It was irrefutable, and it was irrefutable that his fingers were in that pie. There was no way around it. And this is the only grasping, cloying attempt he can see to claw his way out of it. How do you read that and Tim Walz's reaction?
No. I mean, as we discussed it earlier, it is 100% distraction.
Yeah.
What I wonder is, what's Ilhan Omar gonna do?
Right.
She's in on this too.
Trump talked about deporting her.
Yeah. She's definitely keeping her head down lately.
Her background in Somalia is interesting. She did not move here like to kickstart. Oh, God, come here and give Somali representation. No, she was a member of the Somali elite in the party out of power, and when they were overthrown, she fled. That's why she's here. It was her father, right? She's considered a shitbag back in Somalia. So yeah, that's her background is interesting beyond the brother boinking. Normal man, speaking of background of Middle Eastern figures, interesting fact, the Iron Sheik was the bodyguard of the old Shah. That's true. Could we get a Iran #1 Ayatollah? Fun fact, I don't know how many people are aware of this. The queen, the former queen of Iran, is still alive and has been tweeting about all of this. The widow of the original Shah of Iran.
Ooh, I did not know that.
Yeah, I follow her on Twitter. Cicero, Razor, could the RazörForce convene Saturday morning to do a synchronous coffee sip live? I used to do that with Scott Adams. You know, there was a chunk I cut out of the Scott Adams tribute. A big chunk. I cut it out because it was 3 times longer than the tribute itself. And actually, shoot, do you have the clip? Oh, you have one. Hold on. What is this? What is this?
Well,
let's see this. I love this show so much. It was so good.
What are you doing? I'm posting false information on the web. Why? It's fun. Someone picks up a strand of false information, spreads it around, and before you know it, a panic is created. Then you just sit back and watch the chaos.
And figure out a way to exploit it, no doubt.
You say that as if it's a bad thing.
I don't think that is what the World Wide Web was created for.
Ah, that's where you're wrong. Do you have any idea how difficult it was to spread rumors before? Mailings, cold calling. Sometimes I had to go door to door. It was a real pain. Thanks to the new technology, my productivity has increased. Just in the last couple of years, I've been able to create fear about cell phones, power lines, and organ theft rings.
You must be very proud.
It's fulfilling.
Well, the last thing I want to do right now is sit in front of a computer screen. My neck is all...
Well, that was the only slip up.
Genius. God, that show was so underrated.
And that's
So- was-
from what, like the 2000s or?
It was late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere in there. It was on UPN, right? I think it was on UPN.
Yes.
That's why it got shit canned. It was the network. It was the network. If that had debuted on Fox, it would still be airing to this day. I do not doubt it for a second. I loved that show. I rarely missed an episode. And I remember when the internet downloading scene came around, I procured legal copies of all of the episodes as soon as the internet came around. I loved that show. It was so good. But there was a bit that I meant to do, and here's why I read it. This was from my devotional that day, and it's by Johann Gerhardt. It's called Sacred Meditations, and so I hear about, just a moment. Hold on. If you could read a super chat while I take care of that. It's a freaking
Certainly.
alarm going off.
Cicero, Razor. Could the RazörForce? Oh, this is the same one that you shared earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to highlight the same one. But we hear the news about Scott, and my devotional for that day, I'm working my way through Sacred Meditations by Johann Gerhardt. And these are different kind of devotionals than modern Christian devotionals are. Here's your Bible verse. Here's one or two paragraphs about the Bible verse. And then here's a prayer or a meditation. And there's nothing wrong with that format, but this is from the early Renaissance period, late medieval period. So devotionals, Christian devotionals at this time are very different. They're deeper contemplations on an aspect of Christian life. And so there's ones about, temptation and the benefits of temptation, self-denial. And I open it up the day that Scott Adams dies. Get this. Chapter 44. I'm this far into the freaking devotional. I'm almost done with it. Consolation in the death of friends. That's the devotional that day. I won't read the whole thing, but it is brilliant. Some of the stuff in here. So I'll just read like a portion of it, if that's okay with you guys. I read the entire thing at the end of my video, and I cut it out just because it was 3 times as long as the video itself. I think it would have, like, pacing wise. Maybe I'll upload the full video or something to X later on if you guys want that. But to die is gain. O devout soul, keep Christ, thy blessed Savior, always in line. By the way, I should say this was translated in the Victorian era. So it's got the these, the thys, the thous, the King James verbiage. And thou wilt have no dread of death. If thou art distressed at the thought of the agonies of death, be comforted in view of the mighty power of Christ thy Lord. The Israelites could not drink the waters of Marah because of their bitterness, until the Lord showed Moses a tree, which when he had cast into the waters were made sweet. Exodus 15:25. And if thou dreadest the bitterness of death, fear not, for God shows thee a tree, which will change its bitterness into sweetness. That is the branch sprung from the root of Jesse, Isaiah 11:1. That branch is Christ, who said, if a man keep my saying, he shall never see death. John 8:51. That's the same verse my mug was based on. Let's see here. Our life here is full of burdens. It is a blessed thing, then, to find any comfort and alleviation of its miseries. After all, it is not the Christian himself, but only his trouble that dies. This departure of the soul, which we think of as death, is not an exit, but a transition. We do not lose our departed loved ones. We simply send them on before us. They do not die. They rise into a higher life. They do not forsake us. They are not forever parted from us. They have just preceded us to the glory world. They are not lost to us, rather only separated from us for a time. And I'll skip right to the very end because he made this amazing point. Amazing point. Perchance it was thy hope that thy loved ones would be useful members of the church militant here on earth, but it has pleased God to transfer them to the church triumphant above. And as it has pleased God, let it please thee as well. Perhaps it was thy hope that they would acquire vast stores of worldly wisdom, but it pleased God that they should enter into the heavenly school and learn true wisdom. And as it pleased God, let it please thee also. Perhaps it was a fond hope of thy heart that thy departed loved ones would be raised out of the dust and be set with the princes, Psalms 113:8. But it pleased God to exalt them to companionship with the princes of heaven, even the holy angels. And as it pleased God, oh, let it please thee also. Perhaps it was thy hope that they would lay up great riches upon the earth, but it pleased God that instead of this, they should come into possession of the inconceivable delights of the heavenly kingdom. And as it pleased God, let it please thee also. O righteous God, thou gavest, thou hast taken away. Blessed be thy holy name forever and ever. Job 1:21. That's the one I woke up to that day when we found out Scott Adams had passed away. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. So yeah, I recorded a whole bit about that, and I cut it out of the video just because it did, it was 3 times as long as the video itself. Godspeed, Scott Adams. We love you, and we're gonna miss you. I still remember, just encountering his stuff back in the day. His stuff about how hypnosis is not what you think it is. I already kind of knew this because one of my biggest inspirations in getting into radio was a guy named Roy Masters, who was similar to Scott Adams. He was also a hypnotist, and he also understood the art of persuasion, and he would talk about that a lot on air. Scott Adams broke that down, how really hypnotism is not dangle the watch and, bark like a dog. It's really, we're kind of reflex machines. We're wired to do something when a certain stimula is applied, right? And so hypnotism then becomes just applying the stimuli. And the way that he broke down the 2016 election cycle on that basis, the way that Trump handles persuasion on that basis, it still applies to this day. And he was one of the few people in this sphere who was able to break that down and distill it to its essence with a veneer of actual honesty. Any stories to share on Scott Adams, Taryn, before we completely move off of that?
No. I think we've said what we needed to.
All right. Dayan, I don't know what the heck that name is. Steven, I have a map of the United States that's 1-to-1 scale. By the time I figure out where I'm going, I'm already there. Oh yes, Steven Wright. It's 1-to-1 scale. All right. Zerp Derp. Even if it was an op done by Mossad or the CIA, is that really a bad thing if the Iranians are ending up freed? My friends are blackpilling hard, and it's a bit annoying. They're just against Trump now because of the files, which is silly because a huge chunk of them have already been released. They're literally, when files drop, they're not even paying attention to them at all. It's not about the files. It's not about the files. It may never have been about the files. It's really just, I need a reason to be blackpilled. I think that's really what it is. There's a demoralization op happening at the same time, too, so it's tough to tell how much of that is even genuine. But we did a whole podcast episode on the Epstein files just a few weeks ago. All rise for the Honorable Judge Stone Cold Steve Austin. That episode was my introduction to Dilbert, and I would later watch nearly every other episode of Dilbert, and I enjoyed it all. I'll miss his work, comic and TV both. I agree. Godspeed. Brett Cooper said this could be Iraq 2.0.
It's never going to end, is it? This is the forever war. Fucking discussing it.
Does Ben Shapiro even hold an employment interview when he hires someone for the Daily Wire? 2.0? Bitch, it would be 3.0, first off. So jot that down. We went to Iraq again, and now we would be going back to it again, right? So shut the fuck up. Oh man. Jeez. And it's night and day. Of course, we've talked about this. It's a camera negative of Iraq. Iraq was is an Arabic, largely Muslim population, not very westernized, kind of backward. That was the situation. Iran, westernized isn't the word. They're Iranian. Iran has always been Iran. They've always been part of the greater West in a way. It's more correct to say they're like, I don't know, they were like an extension of Europe for a long time in a way. They were this bastion in the middle of the Middle East. Culturally, they are nothing like anyone around them. They are not westernized. They are Iranized. That's what they are. They're Persian. And they're proud of that. And they should be. And they are colonized right now by scummy Arabs. And they hate them. And that's why it doesn't take much to incite them to riot. It doesn't take much at all. They despise those people. It's too many people who don't know anything about this region, who don't know anything about Iran, who don't know anything about the Middle East, full stop, are opining on this subject. And I'm about ready to open fire. Battle Chemist. The Islamic Iranian regime was on the ropes under Obama, but then he dropped pallets full of cash on their tarmacs and unfroze their accounts. He sure did. And that was no accident. To the small hat alarmist, but enough about Shapiro. Wouldn't it make sense to help the regime change against Iran so we have less reason to do their bidding, cure versus treatment? Agamemnon. Dilbert was a cartoon that I think was emblematic of some really underrated cartoons from the late 90s and early 2000s, which still had some good art direction. The Critic, Mission Hill, and Home Movies come to mind. Rest in peace, Scott. I agree. So good.
Absolutely.
Eric the Red. Sources: Trump has come to an agreement to not bomb Iran if Khamenei would be the name there, agrees to pull his pants down, bend over, and sing "Glory, Glory, Hallelujah" at the next UN Security Council meeting. I think he's isolated a position there, folks. He's assumed the position. In my opinion, Trump's foreign policy genius, in part, is his unpredictability. That's true. He's not ideological. This is also true. He's not an interventionist nor an isolationist. He's a pragmatist. It's germane to the eulogies about Scott Adams. They were simpatico in this sense. Scott Adams, not an ideologue, more of a guy who took a position based on the situation. According to 2C TV and other Iranians covering the situation, they're reporting Iranians are still out in the street. The feeling on the ground is that it's now or never they are going to fight to the end. Yeah, I'm not sure on that. I've heard conflicting things, but we're still in the fog of war, unfortunately. In Iran, the security forces are using weapons of war on unarmed civilians. Whoa, somebody ring up Mark Kelly. I hear he wants to get weapons of war off the streets. What the hell? See, Striker, I've been hit pretty hard with the January blues, but this stream has helped. Thanks, guys. Godspeed.
Oh, always.
I'm glad to be of service. Will Gooding, love you, Razor Fist and Razor Force. Rock on, bros. Please pray for us red-blooded, patriotic Virginians. Shamigale Scamburger and her goons are fixing. It's my favorite dwarf name, by the way. And her goons are fixing to try and completely obliterate our Second Amendment rights here. Ugh.
I still can't believe she won.
Poor Virginia. The Loner, what are your thoughts on cremation? I've heard mixed thoughts. Some say it's anti-Christian and some say it doesn't matter. I actually am of the opinion that it is anti-Christian, personally. I love, on a totally humorous aside, the Deadwood exchange, you remember, between Al Swearingen and E.B. Farnham? I will defile your remains, E.B.
I remember that, yeah.
Not my remains, Al. Gabriel's trumpet will produce you from the ass of a pig. Don't defile my remains. In case there is resurrection of the flesh. Oh. The new guy, 3534. Given that most of our nation's corruption stems from the desire to steal wealth and property, control money, and remove the autonomy of markets, is the final boss of Jeffersonian conservatism The Fed? Yes. Dude, is that the final boss or the first boss? Who was big on the central bank? Mr. Hamilton, right? American politics broke down along lines of Jefferson versus Hamilton right from the beginning. And the primary issue that they were warring about was what would eventually turn into the Fed, the central bank, central financing of the government, and what eventually turned into the internal improvement system, and eventually turned into welfare, and eventually turned into, and on and on and on.
Yeah.
M2M Tomb. Razor, I hope you're invited to the red carpet for the 2026 Michael Jackson movie. You deserve kudos for spreading the truth on the false allegations. Interesting.
Wouldn't that be something?
Well, I told you I was invited to Havenhurst for their Halloween party one year.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that.
That was really nice of them. My grandfather asked, Stephen, how old are you? I said, I'm 5. He said, when I was your age, I was 6. I love it. All right. The one true clogger. They gave me a nickname on the spot, one that still haunts me. Acorn. Why do I know exactly what you're talking about? What is wrong with me? Modern Minuteman movement. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there a very large Christian population in Iran? It is actually I've heard that it is the fastest growing Christian population in the world right now, which doesn't surprise me. Zoroastrianism, which is sort of the domestic religion of Iran, has been banned for a long time. And you're risking being put to death if you don't convert to Islam. So betwixt those two extremes, you have the option of worshiping in private in small prayer groups in Iran. And I can assure you from people that I know in Iran, it happens. It absolutely happens. And it's surprisingly well organized. Bumcrack Jones just finished Crisis 3 again. Very fun. Hi, Taryn.
Hi.
Trump strikes off. Lockheed Martin. No! All right. Primark, my sister who had preeclampsia had to have an emergency C-section last night due to high blood pressure in the umbilical cord and a weak pulse. And this morning, my niece was born. She's only 3 pounds. Oh. Prayers for her that she pulls through. But at least they were able to do the procedure and hopefully save someone's life.
Yeah.
The Shaw already has a full transition plan in print. Somebody already pointed that out, but Godspeed. Thank you.
Let me know if you want me to read a few too, if you need a break.
Go ahead. We do actually have at least one more story to get to, by the way.
Aaron, so our biggest enemies in the Western Hemisphere and in the Middle East could be gone in less than 30 days. What's the Russia-China response?
Putin and China are playing it really close to the vest. China already pretty much came out and said they wouldn't defend Iran, which is hilarious, especially because it was now called off. It tells you something. I mean, it gets the noggin jogging. Is it because they're preparing for an invasion of Taiwan? They don't want to split their resources? Is it because they're already funding the government of Iran, right? They're already kind of interceding in a way. Either way, talk about a succession of L's for Russia and China, especially China. 60 billion spent in Venezuela. Gone. Overnight in a 2-hour period. Tell me again how the communist Chinese are brilliant long-term planners.
It's hilarious how fast it happened.
It never survives contact with reality, ever. Bubba Doom, I wonder if the hanging Chad debacle, that would be the 2000 election with Al Gore and George W. Bush. I wonder how it was arranged as an excuse to have electronic ballots foisted on us. Didn't work because Florida wound up tightening up their elections in the aftermath, and that's a big reason why Florida went from being a battleground to solid red. All right. First year of negative migration. I did see that too. Did you see that?
Yes.
Just came out. First year negative migration. Got what I voted for award. And Groypers, of course, not enough. Not enough because they're leftists. If good things happen, they lose because they want to inherit the party. It's very simple formulation, guys.
It becomes more and more apparent every single day that they exist to split us.
A W for Trump is an L for them every time. A W for America is an L for them. Christianity is growing again because we saw how terrible atheism and secularism is. Information and freedom benefits Christianity, but not any other belief. It's true. The more you read the Quran, the worse it gets.
Yep.
Start digging into the writings of Scientology sometimes, see how that holds up. Or Mormonism. The Book of Mormon gets wacky if you actually read the Book of Mormon. What are Michael Jackson's pronouns? Maybe the real Iraq 2.0 were the tards we met along the way. And speaking of the tards that we met along the way, I think it's time for one final news story, folks. This is a little bit of a sideshow, folks. I admit it, but we can't not talk about it, unfortunately. Take it away, Taryn.
Oh, good. We get to talk about her again. She might transition a one-year-old boy.
Before we get on this, of all the women he could have boinked, how much hotter of women are there out there than this? What on earth was he thinking? What on earth? Is it just because she was available? From what I hear, she kind of pursued him, but still, dude, you're the richest man in the world. You could ring up Anna Kournikova right now and have her. It just is what it is. I do not understand.
You know, it comes down to she just didn't say no.
Well, wouldn't take no for an answer, more like, but yeah.
She might transition a one-year-old boy. Elon Musk files for full custody of his son after Ashley St. Clair pro-trans comments. Joining the pro-trans side in 2026 is like boarding the Titanic an hour after it hit the iceberg.
It's so true, dude. It's so true, dude. The issue is polling like 80-20. Like, dude, nobody supports the trans issue anymore. Why? Because it's because they went too far. They basically said that children are wards of the state, that the state owns your kids. From that moment on, the left could no longer even hope to win on this issue anywhere in the country. And now they have to go down with the ship because they can't lose the trans voters, the LGBT voters, the woke people. They'll lose forever if they stab them in the back. It won't work. So they're stuck. They have to go down with the ship. He's absolutely correct.
Billionaire Elon Musk announced he would file for full custody of his one-year-old son on Monday in the wake of pro-transgender comments from the baby's mother, Ashley St. Clair. I will be filing for full custody today, given her statements implying she might transition a one-year-old boy, Musk said on X, responding to a follower's comment. St. Clair has been known previously as a conservative influencer. Well, look how long that lasted.
Yeah.
But it's not clear.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't know anything about this whore. She was one of those people who made the jump from lefty to righty of convenience, and now she's making the jump back. It seems like many such cases.
Not clear if she ever said that she would allow her son to transition to female.
Yeah.
On X, St. Clair responded to someone's question who asked, "You previously engaged in blatant transphobia. How do you feel about trans people in the wake of noticing how the far right truly is?"
Here's the thing. Hold on. Before we even get to her response, read that comment. You engaged in blatant transphobia. Is there no impulse in you at all to defend yourself? Are you not going to stand by any belief you previously expressed or held? Of course not, because this is a walking poster child for BPD. She'd never held those positions. Why? Because in order to hold a position, you have to actually have some kind of cognition around it. And in order to have cognition around it, you have to have a personality. And she doesn't, because she's not a person. BPD people don't have a personality. They are wearing a mask of a personality. They are pretending to be something. They'd rather appear to be something than actually be it. And that's the entire scam in BPD cases. So, of course, she doesn't defend herself because it's not herself. She's shed that mask and now she's wearing another one. I just want to make sure that you guys understand psychologically what's going on here.
It's by an anime PFP too.
Of course.
Yeah. Her response, I'll actually read it from X. I feel immense guilt for my role, and even more guilt that things I have said in the past may have caused my son's sister more pain. I don't know how to make amends for many of these things, but I have been trying incredibly hard privately to learn, plus advocate for those within the trans community that I've hurt.
Wow.
I also have said much on this because I have gone back and forth over whether my voice would be helpful on the issue, since it will be framed as disingenuous for just turning because I'm scorned. Even this reply will become right-wing hysteria. But yeah, I'm sorry. Let me know how I can help.
Right. Another child of Musk, Vivian. Shut up. Shut up.
As transgender in 2020. I also haven't said much on this because I have gone back and forth over whether my voice... Oh, no. That's finishing the post.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Invalid nonce? What the fuck?
Yep.
Author and political commentator Matt Walsh, known for his What is a Woman and Am I Racist? Hi, I'm Troy McClure.
Right.
You might know me as... anyway, asked St. Clair in response to her pro-trans comments.
You might know me from last-minute changes of opinion as... No.
Ashley, what exact arguments did the trans activists make to convince you that actually men can have babies and sometimes it's okay to castrate children? Please explain how they persuaded you to adopt these incredible positions.
And no response.
Walsh added that joining the pro-trans side in 2026 is like boarding the Titanic. An hour after, it is hit an iceberg.
Yep.
Even most Democrats are trying desperately to flee the sinking ship. Jumping on board, especially at this late stage of the game, is baffling.
Mm-hmm.
Commentator Ian Miles Chong noted,
we can go ahead and skip this. we can go ahead and skip the guy from Malaysia chiming in on American politics again. The New York Post reports. Go ahead and pick it up from there.
The SpaceX founder has a slew of offspring, Jesus, with multiple women. He has 5 children with his first wife, Justine Wilson, twins Vivian and Griffin, and triplets Kai, Saxon, and Damien.
Saxon! Jesus.
Their son,
his kid's a metal band.
Nevada, died in 2002 at just 10 weeks old.
Is he planning on having a kid with a normal name at some point?
Musk has another 3 with pop star Grimes, including X, who was spotted repeatedly with his father at the White House. Exa Dark Sidriel.
What?
And Techno Mechanicus. I want to be named Techno Mechanicus. What the fuck?
What is wrong with people? Stop naming your kids like a Skyrim character. You're making a sapien, not an RPG protagonist.
Remember, folks, there's a baby out there named, or not a baby anymore, but there is a person out there named Dovahkiin.
There is. The worst has got to be Penn Jillette's kid, Moxie crime fighter Gillette.
Oh yeah. Musk and Neuralink executive Shivan Zils also shares twins Strider and Azure. daughter Arcadia and son Selden Lycurgus.
So it's time to play the game show sensation that is sweeping the nation. RPG protagonist or stripper?
That is the end of the article.
Between this bitch and Amber Heard, man, apparently Elon's dick has a 2 mental disorder minimum.
I wonder
what
how
the hell?
I wonder how
you should literally have a sign, must have this much mental disorder to ride.
I wonder how little X is going to feel when he grows up, looks around and realizes he's got the most normal, like he's the most normal out of all.
Yeah, how did I wind up with the most normal name of my entire family? At least my signature will seem normal. You know what I mean? Between Elon's autism and her BPD, this kid's crib better be a padded cell. Holy crap. I just, Milo's been he's been absolutely going into the paint against this broad too, which I love. Following him on X, talking about, he calls her Smashly. Because she's infamous, dude. There's this entire wing of conservathought who go to all of the conventions and they get passed around like a lighter in a crack house. It just is what it is. You remember several months ago before Amfest, when all those conservathoughts were talking, the two were feuding. Who were they? God, I don't know any of these broads. Isabella De Luca, something like that.
Oh, I have no clue.
Her and someone else. They're all the peroxide princesses with the lip injections, right?
Yeah,
they got into a big tussle because Pearl and all that stuff. And they were like, yeah, well, I saw you getting rammed out in the stairwell at Amfest. It's like, yeah, well, you were in the freaking hotel room getting an airtight from 2 of the Turning Point guys. Like, jeez. Standards, people. Standards. What the hell? Oh, please, super chats, guys. We got to get to these. I need an escape hatch from this story. I need an escape hatch from ever talking about this horror. Did you have anything?
Come on, guys. The slippery slope is a fallacy. Azure Nightmare. We miss Phil Hartman too. Scott Adams could be quite happy to see him. Sonic Boomers. Germany's Chancellor Merz says it was a serious strategic mistake to phase out nuclear energy. Pick meme, no shit reaction face.
No shit.
Trump told you.
Did Hitler not learn the lesson of not having enough oil? Like isn't this literally why he lost World War II? Holy crap. Unlearning a 100-year-old lesson. Good on you. Good on you, Germany.
M2M Tomb. I do hope that MJ's upcoming biopic is split as 2 movies. Jack's at 5 to Bad is enough for part 1. Dangerous to This Is It is enough for part 2. I thought I read somewhere it's going to end somewhere where he did, I think, like when he did Wimley, when he appeared in
87.
Yeah.
So Bad.
I think.
I could see that. That was the last tour where he did live vocals from beginning to end. That was the last time. After that, because he was dancing so much, his freaking show got so elaborate. You remember how crazy his show got during the Dangerous era and the History era, where he's flying around on a jetpack and stuff? Like, it was nuts. You couldn't be singing live vocals during all of that. So he started singing to a lot of playback. And I in my opinion, it wasn't as good after that, the live show. It was cooler, because there was lots of cool stuff going on, but Elon has weird taste in chicks. All right. Sea Striker, the way I see it, the trans kids are just modern sacrifice to a cult. I mean, yes. Think about it. Like, if you worship the world, if you worship a pagan god, you are sacrificing, you might sacrifice a human being upon an altar of stone. The abortion clinics are just the modern altars of stone. That's what it is. We've all been paganized as a culture. That's why it's so putrid to hear, gosh, Catholic and Protestant advocate for abortion and such. It's sad. But fortunately, with Rome, you at least have the Pope coming out and saying, oh, no, it's banned. Sadly, on a congregation level, that doesn't really happen. Support for abortion is just as strong, sadly, in Catholic congregations as it is in some of the woke mainline Protestant ones. Carzy Day, you think Trump is trying to ready up America for when he gets out of office? You know, when Russia and China finally go full land grabby? All right. I don't know that Russia and China will be in that position. You blow $60 billion on Venezuela and get no return on investment. I think you got to lick your wounds for a while. I don't think you can jump right into taking Taiwan. I really, especially considering China have been struggling with their shit since before COVID. Have y'all discussed the weapons used in Venezuela? No, we didn't. Have you seen that?
I've heard they deployed sonic weapons, which has been discussed. It's been discussed for quite a while now. It was discussed for such a long time that they've appeared in Call of Duty as weapons you could use. But yeah,
some kind of sonic weapon. Fun story. A black metal band from Japan called Sigh, S-I-G-H. Very avant-garde and weird. They released an album years ago. I want to say like 2002 or 4. And it had a hidden track on it that apparently was Sonic Warfare. And they had copies of their album removed from store shelves because of it. It was causing injury.
Damn.
It's freaking crazy. So they had to reissue the album again with that frequency or whatever removed. All right. But yeah, I've seen rumors of it, but has it been formally confirmed or is it just a rumor?
I mean, it's being reported by multiple sources. I'm leaning towards true.
Yeah, I would tend to think so. Apparently, there's a lot of soldiers on the ground who are saying like their ears were bleeding and such. So I could see it. The new guy, the devotional. What devotional was that you read from again? It'd be Sacred Meditations. Sacred Meditations by Johann Gerhard. And again, it's a very different kind of devotional. It's not just Bible verse, 2 paragraphs, and prayer. It's a whole multi-page. It's like 2 or 3 pages on each individual thing. It's a deeper meditation on a given aspect of life.
Go ahead and read this one. Then I got a few over on Rumble.
Good. Intrinsic Dark. How do progressives hate voluntary conversion to Christianity but simp for forced conversion to Islam? Aren't they all atheists and or pagans? That's where you're wrong, kiddo. They are first and foremost socialists and communists. And the Iranian regime was propped up by the Soviet Union and has communistic DNA in it. A lot of people don't like to talk about that, but it does. Just like Palestine. And so the dual projects of global communism in the Middle East, there's a number of them, actually, Syria too. But the big ones are Palestine and Iran. Those are the 2 big ones. Palestine's government is just this side of communist because the PLO is a big part of it, and they're a Marxist-Leninist organization. And the Iranian regime was installed by a literal communist regime and still has a lot of that communist DNA in it. So Islam's window dressing for it. They don't care about religion. They are atheists, as you said. They absolutely are, which is why it's immaterial to them. So they side with the authoritarian government with the communistic DNA because look throughout history. When have the left not sided with the authoritarian government with the communist DNA? Any takers? That's what I thought.
Logan, because a lot of prayer for my mother, I was able to go back to church in 2021. It wasn't the best decision I ever made. And then he continues to say, Groypers aren't leftists, they're Puritans.
I don't think Puritans get busted watching furry porn on live streams. I don't think that's generally a thing that happens.
And
they like to cosplay as Puritans.
Casparius, Elon really shouldn't hand his friend Richard off to be sacrificed on the altar of crazy.
Okay. Oh, I see what you mean. Abortion is the satanic sacrament. It distorts the words of Christ. This is my body. And I remind you, the passage in the Bible about it would be better that a millstone be tied around their neck and they be thrown into the sea is not just about diddling kids. It's about bringing any harm to a kid. It's about preventing a kid from coming to Christ. And I can't imagine a more surefire way of preventing a child from coming unto Christ than ending them in the womb. It's a pretty effective means of doing that. Major Spike, hey, can I have a quick aside about Pathways? That propaganda game released by the British government that absolutely backfired. So much so they took it down within days. Amelia for MP. I heard distant background noise about this. Were you following it a little more closely, Taryn?
From everything that I've seen, it was basically a cheap little flash game where they would quiz you. They would say, okay, here's this character, Amelia. She hears this. What's your response? And you would get like 4 choices.
Uh-oh.
And the game would actively chastise you for getting it wrong.
It would woke scold you?
It would woke scold you. One of them was, okay, well, you hear this. What you hear this about this group of people or whatever. What do you do? And one of the choices is, well, I would research something online and find out more to see if it's true.
Yeah.
And that's an incorrect answer.
Wow.
It scolds you for trying to find information on your own. You're supposed to accept what you're told by official British sources.
Of course, naturally. Because who could be a more credible source?
It is 100% propaganda.
Wow.
It is blatant.
Is there a chapter where you get arrested for posting the word fag on X? Is there? No?
Maybe.
A dinner mince OG. You got the stuff to get this done. How about a comic book where restriction happens, but it's a bunch of lawmen from the 1800s? I don't know what you're talking about. Restriction happens, but I am working on, because we're still sorting out the artist situation on the next Ghost of the Badlands, I'm just writing more volumes so I can have more and more scripts stacked up. So I got like 3 volumes in the can. I'm on to the 4th. So whenever we hit the ground running with a new artist that I hit it off with, we're ready to go. Sorry about the pause between volume 1 and 2, but sadly, a lot of artists are kind of flaky. And hey, if it takes long enough, I'll just draw the damn thing myself. It'll take a while, but I'll get it done. Channel name, I was in the 160th SOAR for 6 years. The type of grab and bag they did never required sonic weapons. Drone strikes, AC-130s, overhead miniguns, and rockets, followed by teams of operators is more likely. Getting that testimony from a military source, I find a little more persuasive than sonic warfare on X. Because remember, wasn't there a rumor years ago that China had used some secret weapon against the nation of India during that brief border skirmish in 2019, 2020, whenever that was?
Yeah,
remember that?
I vaguely, I remember the skirmish itself.
Yeah, that turned out to be bullshit. It was probably just propaganda from the Chi-Coms to persuade America not to F with them while they were struggling with their shit. So that doesn't surprise me. DRT is king. Pathways was cheap and lazy 1984, but as a good thing. Down to Charlie, the protagonist, regardless of what you did, being friendless at the end. Amelia was the goth girl who wants English for the English. Okay. Godspeed. Is the UK going to get a goth GF? The Ayatollahs were already losing their grip on power decades ago, so I'm not afraid of Iran, and neither should anyone else. It's not about being afraid of them. It's our mess that we didn't clean up. Reaper Grimm, folks complaining about power grabbing confuses me. Of course, it's a power grab. That's what strong nations do to stay strong, dipshits. Grab power. I think I would make the less elevated claim that in geopolitics, sometimes it's more about preventing the resultant power vacuum and the likely candidates that would want to fill that. For example, we were going to talk about Greenland briefly, because Putin finally weighed in on that. And what did I say when Trump first started making noise about taking Greenland? A lot of people were scratching their heads like, what's going on here? Well, Greenland? Why would we do that? And I was pointing out it's not about Greenland. It's about the fact that Greenland is sort of one of the last stops to defend the Northwest Passage, which, the Northwest Passage, they've had a way to get through it for a long time there. It's going to become a big deal depending on what happens with the Panama Canal. What do you think Trump is fixated on the Panama Canal? He's fixated on the big trade routes. Panama Canal, Northwest Passage. Trump all about that kind of stuff. So Greenland really is about that. Denmark was not actually defending that territory, and so Russia and China were giving it the hairy eyeball. Trump makes remarks recently, about a week and a half ago, I want to say, where he basically confirmed that my read on that situation early on was correct. And wouldn't you know it, within a week of that, Putin suddenly makes remarks responding to that. Trump was right. I was right. Putin was giving Greenland the hairy eyeball. He is paying attention, and Trump's maneuvers are actually paying off. Hung Nguyen, do you know Fuentes got lambasted by his own Telegram group for supporting taking over Venezuela? That's the only time I saw Groypers do that to him. I heard he got shit on a little bit because I think Fuentes is kind of cynical. He saw on social media that most people were supporting the action, and he's been making this cynical maneuver lately to try and fill a vacuum, kind of becoming Charlie Kirk adjacent. Because like I said, if he could have stripped Charlie Kirk's skin off and worn him as a skin suit, he absolutely would have. He didn't hate Charlie Kirk. He wanted to become Charlie Kirk. He wanted to inherit Turning Point. That's always been my read on Fuentes. He's like the most insecure motherfucker on planet Earth. So after Kirk died, it's no coincidence that all of a sudden he makes this sudden pivot on all of his key positions. Why? Because it's a cynical move. He recognizes there's a vacancy and he's trying to fill it. That's it. Look, the motherfucker followed Kanye West around for a year and got less popular. If that doesn't work, this is kind of his last chance. So I get it. I don't agree with it. I think it's kind of a wimpy, scummy thing to do, but very few things Fuentes does is not scummy. Marcus Holiday, my issue with the idea that Trump's backing away from strikes is that he always strikes when you least expect it. Good point. As an example, Venezuela's airspace was closed for about a month before we struck. That's true. Everyone's kind of reacting prematurely, I think. Nathan Danner, I was watching a clip of the band Queensryche rehearsing for MTV Unplugged. Was wondering, is there another band that could sound like this these days? You know, a lot of those bands sounded good unplugged. Actually, Dawkins did a really, really good unplugged around that same time. I just hate the whole unplugged thing. I think it was kind of the final death rattle of hair metal in the early 90s, was all those bands suddenly going unplugged. It's like, talk about, could you miss the point even harder than having a metal band unplug and then having all of them unplug at the same time? And there's no problem with one acoustic song here or there, but having entire shows of nothing but acoustic music. No, fuck it. Plug in. Kadan Trim, I just wanted to congratulate Renee Good, a.k.a. Georgina Floyd, on being 1 month sober from sniz. Okay. I am my own apprentice, metal shrapnel from a plastic ball. Bullshit. A lying communist? Are you sure? Are you sure? Taryn?
Z Effective. Spend Christmas with grandparents in Maricopa. We're all ND natives with many friends and relatives in the Twin Cities. So many of the people over there are pissed, but won't say anything publicly.
Yeah. How you like in the Maricopa County, or I don't know if you're in Maricopa County or in Maricopa proper, right? There's a town of Maricopa, which I don't think I've ever been to, actually.
Native New Mexican. The appropriate Mike Myers reference when saying woman is from So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Underrated
Austin
movie.
Powers is the word man.
All right.
Unit, glue. Deport the rioters. They can go home with the illegals. Lynn Hero, thoughts on Dante Alighieri, the man and his works?
I like the works as fiction. I think the big problem with Dante, though, is Dante's Inferno by some people is almost considered biblical canon. And some of the ideas in Dante's Inferno, some of the ideas around purgatory especially, were not canonized then. And after Vatican II, some of them have been kind of soft decanonized. So it's like it's almost taken as canon Catholic literature, which is a problem. Protestants have a similar problem, by the way. I'm not just shitting on Catholics. Freaking Protestants have the same problem with people like C.S. Lewis, right? Where you would almost think that C.S. Lewis books are formal biblical texts, the way that they're quoted. So find people on both sides.
I was going to say, I mean, the Divine Comedy is an excellent piece of fiction,
Amazing.
But
Yeah.
why would anyone consider it canon?
Yeah. All right. Craig Ferguson to late night. Careful, Icarus. Dude, did you ever see the episode of Craig Ferguson? So you know Craig Ferguson had a robot skeleton sidekick.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
On his show. Did you ever see the episode where the voice actor or whatever, the guy who performed Jeff, had left? He was off doing something. He was sick or something. So Larry King did the voice of Jeff for the whole episode.
Really?
Oh, it was genius, dude. It was absolute genius. I might have to look it up or something. It was absolute brilliance.
Before we move on, we don't want to skip everyone's favorite part of the show.
Oh, is it time? Is it time
is
for the
time.
Hassan Piker is a prick minute?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Hassan Piker is a fucking retard minute. Sorry, we have to get it right. We have to get the nomenclature right. Folks, it's the sensation sweeping the nation.
When you press a button, something awesome has to happen.
Christ, what are you doing? You're being such a baby.
The Hassan Piker is a fucking retard minute, ladies and gentlemen. Is this it? Oh, no, he didn't. He didn't.
He did. Well, this was actually a couple of days ago, but he did.
Get away with it.
Let's turn this up.
All right.
That are protest.
Full screen that shit.
That are protesting against settler fairs that are taking place in a synagogue are actually the bad ones in this.
Guys, are you shitting me? What did I just tell you about the hubris? I wasn't even kidding. I didn't. I confess I didn't suspect I would see it in this video.
What happened? Did I miss it?
It happens at the very beginning. He's
very
reaching
beginning.
off.
Go back.
Kai is getting up.
Uh-huh.
And Hassan's reaching over.
Oh!
That are protesting against settler fairs that are taking place in a synagogue.
Hubris.
He reaches over,
in this
and I see it's about to step off, and then all of a sudden it jolts right back.
It decides not to.
Video.
I mean, it's not, I wouldn't say it's confirmed, but I would definitely file that under fucking sus, bro. Absolutely sus. Did you see the other thing that Hassan got clapped back for? He was like, Hassan responded to someone and said that the person they were talking about was that stupid. That person is that stupid. And then the person they were replying to literally quote tweeted and just said, "Bro, you are not one to talk." Got absolutely ratioed into oblivion.
Does Hassan work for the ATF?
Oh, man.
No, you could probably apply, though.
Well, one day it may come to that. It may come to that when the Nepo bucks stop rolling in.
I see my young apprentice has learned well.
Conan did the S-hole countries bit out in Haiti. Yes, he did. Haiti is already a great country, Taryn.
Oh, amazing. Wonderful.
McLeod 2486. Single mothers are refreshing the ranks of Dems. Sure they are. Sure they are. The problem is they're all cat mothers. Night Sean WA, not a cyber attack, a Microsoft update issue with Windows 11. Really?
Oh, really?
I could believe it. Call Minnesota by its new proper name, Snowmalia. There we are. Fantastic. Is it just me, or is the left already having buyer's remorse about Mondami? What has he even done besides his staff crying about questions? Well, here's the thing about mayors. They have no power. The guy overpromised and was always going to be disappointing to his base. As a lot of us were pointing out from the very beginning, he's only a mayor. It was more the thing that I consistently pointed out was the real problem of that election. It was ranked choice voting. I think it called attention to the problems with that. And that was something I really hastened to point out because many people on the right are still pushing, especially in Lulbert circles, are still pushing ranked choice voting. And it is odious horse shit, and you should not be pushing it. Fist, I know you said you were more into medieval vampire campaigns than modern ones. How would you feel about a World War I, World War II? There is a setting in Vampire that is not that far from that era, but yeah, you can pretty much set a vampire campaign at any point in history. Absolutely. Mark Daly. I bought Tim Walls' service weapon at a gun show. I may have overpaid, but it's in real good condition. Never been fired and only dropped once. Won't be able to tell that joke much longer. Godspeed. Quiet Rioter. Must be French. If the Ayatollah Assahola ends up being taken out and Iran becomes a free country again, what will happen to the rest of the Islamic states in the Middle East? It definitely provides a disruptive, at least passively pro-Western influence in the middle of a region that has been totally co-opted by the sort of ongoing communist Islamo kind of project that's been going on in the Middle East since really after World War II. It's been a constant predilection of global communism. So it would strike a massive blow for non-crazies. Trevor Schwertman, thoughts on going after people hiring illegal immigrants? Big fan. Just hand the business owner a hefty fine and think the vast majority of illegals go. Yeah, the problem is it's all done under the table, so you would have to rely on people being reported, and there would have to be some actual consequences, some real follow-through on that. And in the past, that hasn't happened. Any thoughts on that, Taryn?
Are we talking about just how to curb it in general?
Yeah, his position is you find the employers who hire the illegal immigrants rather than just deporting the illegal immigrants. I think you actually have to do both. But
yeah, I mean, I would say, yeah, keep going with the deportations, but obviously something has to be done with the employers as well. I would even go as far as like jail time. Maybe not a lot of jail time, but definitely something.
Mm-hmm. Kingfire, what's the best Lutheran church to rejoin after some time? Is LCMC or LCMS better in your opinion for a more conservative type person? Thanks. Probably LCMS. That would be the Missouri Synod. Depending on where you live in the country, there's some other options. If you're in Wisconsin, the WELS, the Wisconsin Synod, is even more conservative than LCMS generally. And I think there's another one. There's a few other confessional denominations, AALC. The big benefit of LCMC really is that it's a loose agglomeration. And so when you find a conservative congregation, they can be as conservative as they want to be. Right. So that's why my church didn't really lock down for COVID. I think they locked down during the initial 14 days to slow the spread, but then they immediately went back online after that was over, after it was clear the government had lied, basically. And they worshiped in person all throughout COVID while everyone else was basically cucking and running. So that's the big advantage. LCMS has its issues, don't get me wrong, but it is generally the most conservative. So that would be my recommendation. Try and find one in your area. And Godspeed, I'll be praying you find that. Michael Hassler, are you familiar with the Italian elite theorists such as Vilfredo Pareto and Gaetano Mosca and their political concepts such as the Pareto principle or the non-governing elite? No, I don't think I am. I'm sorry. Are you, Taryn?
No, sorry, it doesn't ring a bell.
Jex Dino got Greenland and Santa now protected by F-22 Raptors. Interesting. Fotsy Gaming and Media, 1840. I live in a small southeast Missouri town, and we have Antifa planning an ICE protest at our courthouse. They did this last year for No Kings, too. Whew, talk about a dud. No Kings. That went nowhere.
Remember when they tried to do it twice?
They tried once and no one showed up. So they tried it again a month later. I'm sure not with more Soros money and organization, right? And suddenly people showed up. Like, it's so obvious when you understand, like when you've seen the Project Veritas and James O'Keefe videos behind the scenes at like Rose City Antifa, where they're talking about how these spontaneous protests that communists put together are actually engineered. It's so obvious after that. You can't unsee it. It's like the glasses and They Live, you know? You can never fail to see the obey sign on the billboard anymore. Generic name here. Remember Doonesbury? Boy, howdy. That was a bunch of lefty propaganda, that garbage. Bloom County and Outlands. I never saw Bloom County and Outlands, but boy, Doonesbury was like the Bill Maher of news strips. You remember that garbage?
No, I actually never saw any of those.
Oh, Doonesbury, so bad. And some of those, like read some of the Doonesburys from the early 2000s. They've aged so bad. So bad. Oh, Hunter Williams, Tim Walls, you're hereby accused of fraud. All please stand for the honorable judge, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Dude, did you see Stone Cold getting in an ice bath?
When was this?
He started for his knees and his back and all that. He started freaking ice water therapy. I got to show you this. You're going to shit yourself. It is so funny. Let me bring up a super chat you can read.
Yeah. Rogue Disciple. Glenn Greenwald attacking Goldie Gamari. Anti-American regressive who never met an Islamist regime he didn't like. What a scumbag.
Yeah, good times. Good time. Man, the simping for Glenn Greenwald is wild. It has been wild, man. Shatterhand of the Naked Truth. Razor, please continue to read from the Holy Bible on occasion. It's enjoyable to hear, and it helps me through my day. Well, maybe we'll do that on occasion. Thank you, sir. Thoughts on Matt Gaetz becoming Juiceberg? I don't know. That's a weird one. I think it's mainly because he entered the podcast space and he sees where the engagement is. I'd like to think that's what it is. But yeah, he's kind of in that whole Tucker, Megyn Kelly, weird sort of aging Groiper thing. Very, very odd. Let me see if I can find this. Oh, I've got it. I wonder,
did this actually start when he got interviewed by Tucker?
He was interviewed by Tucker around that same time. So maybe. This is great. So he starts recording and he's going to try and do like a little check-in, like a live stream. And this is just gold.
Ha 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 ha! God damn it! Whoa! Shit. God damn it. Hey, what's up? God damn it. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Steve coming to the Broke Skull Ranch. I got this.
I can't even talk. Hey, it's Steve coming for the Broken Skull Ranch. Oh, God, motherfucker.
Yeah, is this supposed to be a cold plunge or
No,
an
no, no,
actual
it's
ice
not.
bath?
So he has to be in the cold for a certain amount of time. It's a therapy. It's a physical therapy.
Right.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Steve coming to the Broken Skull Ranch. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Steve coming to the Broken Skull Ranch. About to do my first cold plunge and renewed therapy.
Wait. He's not even in it yet.
Yeah.
My shop says 43 degrees right now, so I'm sure the water is sub 50. I was going to start off at 50. It's going to be a little bit colder than that. And we're going 3 minutes here. Once it gets on to 12 and 5.
The video is 1:40, so spoiler alert.
Yeah, he doesn't make it for another 30 seconds. And 10 of those seconds are going to be him getting out.
I know.
4, 3, 2, down we go. God damn. Son of a bitch. Oh, motherfucker. Gonna revisit this motherfucker.
Don't give me a cold beer. That's my cold plunge.
Yes. Dude, no plan survives your balls making contact with ice cold water, bro. It's not happening.
Like knives stabbing you.
God bless you, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Swing a bear for the working man.
Save that for later.
Oh no. You play any of the Dilbert PC games? I did demos. No, I never even knew there were any. Did you?
No, I didn't know they existed.
Interesting. Are they point and clicks?
I would assume.
Awesome. Go on.
Sea Striker only saw a few episodes of Dilbert on Adult Swim. Watching it for the first time, pretty great. Managed to make even Kathy Griffin funny.
You know a show's good when it can make Kathy Griffin tolerable, right? She was on Seinfeld. It's the only time she was ever funny, right? She was on Seinfeld. She was on Curb Your Enthusiasm, and she was on Dilbert. 3 great shows. So, all right. But then she was on her own sitcom, and it was ass.
Gee, I wonder if maybe all that shit was written for her.
Yeah, I wonder.
Mark, at this point, I'm doubting Mondale's victory in Minnesota era over Reagan in '84.
Right.
John Orchard. Razor, I have package that has cassette tapes and a book of the original radio shows of The Shadow.
Ooh.
Is there a P.O. box or some way to send it to you?
Maybe soon. I'll let you guys know. I actually do have a P.O. box, but I don't know what it is right off the top of my head.
Iron Colo, I have seen leftist psychos openly wanting Tim Horseballs Walls to actually start a civil war because none of the Geneva Conventions apply to civil wars. I've looked it up, and it's true.
Interesting. The more you know.
D7 Origin. I hear Iran has no Walmarts, only Targets.
Not bad. Not bad for a dad joke, and more of an uncle joke, really.
Devious Smile. In a week, my friends changed the big issue like 4 times. From
dude.
Maduro to Ice Lady to Greenland. Is like kids in front of jingling keys.
Oh, it's still my favorite one in the world still is I've decided to stop being a cyber warfare, North Korean ICBM expert. Now I'm an underwater submersible expert, right?
Right.
Oh, so many issues like that, dude. I just can't believe it even works. The mainstream media, nobody watches it, and yet somehow the narrative still gets out.
I'm no longer an armchair lawyer. I am now an armchair scientist.
Yep.
Satellite Cannon, thoughts on SCOTUS trying to stop the tariffs?
Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me. It's going to hurt corpos. A lot of these Supreme Court justices were picked by who? The Federalist Society. Who's the Federalist Society get paid by? Corpos. There you go.
McLeod. Type 57. The story of China's army is a great channel to show how good the CCP's long-term planning is. Darkly hilarious.
And remember to check out China Uncensored. They just got a video deplatformed because they talked about how China's losing big in Iran. They had a great video on it, and it got deplatformed. So shout out to China Uncensored. I'm sure they have a Rumble or something where you can probably still check out that video. Go sub to them. They're the shit.
Aquatarius.
By the way, dude, Chris Chappell reached out to me and was like, dude, we got to go game some way. I got to join you on a gaming stream. And I'm like, yes, you do. Yes, you do. So that's a guy we should bring on to the offensive as a guest to talk. Like, let's do a full China episode and have him on. I'm sorry,
Aquatarius.
China.
Here's 5 for covering everything news in Skinneapolis. May ICE take care of changing out all these light bulbs. What did he mean by that?
I know.
Big K movies and games. Transformers. What's between their thighs?
What's between their thighs? Amber cosplaying Mercy is hot. I can't blame Elon. Stop it. Go to horny jail.
Stop it.
Gilly Monster. RazörForce Offensive is the best politics talk available. Thank you, sir. A genuine pleasure to watch / listen to. It's the dick jokes, isn't it?
Yeah, he's watch / listen.
Here's another one, bro.
Transformers, they used to be guys.
It didn't quite work in pentameter, but good effort.
I'm not a singer.
All right.
I'll just call you a kid. Is it just me, or is the left starting to get buyer's remorse?
I already read that.
You
Sorry.
already did that, yeah.
Yes, I did.
The new guy. I'm not sure if the LCMS church I attend behaved cowardly during COVID, but I could believe it. They're mostly old folks there. I have a hard time integrating. It's not a very social church. It's hard.
Yeah, sometimes a church can be like that. Who knows? Maybe there's another LCMS church you'd be more comfortable at. But I also have to say this. When I first started attending church again, I wasn't very social either. And they didn't reach out to me too much. And I didn't talk to much of anyone. And it probably went on that way for a couple of years. But that actually was good for me. Because I had been at other churches before that were more seeker-friendly, more low church settings, where as soon as you walk in the door, there's a greeter and everybody's all super charismatic and, hey, we want to plug you into a program. I'm not bashing that. That's a good thing. But there is something to be said about the fact that church is for the veneration of God. It's not so much about what we can get out of church. It's more what we can do for the Lord. And I have to say, it sort of reoriented me in the correct direction. So I pretty rarely miss church at this point because I've sort of rewired my brain as far as what it's actually about. So I would say don't discount the value of that. It can kind of suck to feel like you're alone in church, but honestly, it's not really supposed to be about you. It's really supposed to be more about the liturgy and the divine service and receiving the sacrament, the Eucharist, the gift in the sacrament. Of course, if you've only just joined this church and it's LCMS, you might not be able because they have closed communion. But once you become a full member, you will be able to take the Eucharist at the church. And it doesn't take that long. It takes a few months. So hang in there. And, if you feel you really need to, maybe consider going to a different LCMS church. Matthew Pickard, modern England gives new meaning to bum a fig. Yeah. Russian tankers smuggle oil via the Northwest Passage. Yes. Which is why Putin finally weighed in. I feel like the RazörForce could take Greenland for ourselves and make our own country. Majority Lutheran Greenland, by the way. Like 90% Lutheran. Of course, all 10 people. Actually, I got to show you guys. It's really cool. I've always had this boner for Art Deco cathedrals. I know they're an acquired taste, but it's this crazy looking Art Deco cathedral out there that I just love. It's the wildest. It looks like something out of Thief 2.
Here, I'll read a couple while you do that.
Yeah.
The Collector, Transformers, Maggots in Disguise.
Oh, more than that in disguise.
Channel name, Transformers, they're blind in one eye.
Oh, no.
The Effective Maricopa proper.
Uh-huh.
They are snowbirds, and I've been coming down for over a decade now. Families since like 70s or 80s. North Dakota winters, you know.
Yeah. Interesting. I've kind of found it, but it's doing the thing where it's Shutterstock and it's got the stupid freaking.
Oh my God.
Ugh. Dude, have you noticed like in the last 5 years, it's like every search engine has flipped the switch and that's the only sites they want to show you?
Yeah, that and Pinterest.
It didn't used to be like that. It did not used to be like that, but now it is.
Bumcrack Jones, I heard Prot nations were the furthest from Islam.
I don't know.
Matthew Pickard, it's not that communists are atheists. They are just part of this, part of Christianity. Instead of the cross, they wish to find the holy land of CWCville.
Right. Okay, here we go. I think it's, what is it called? Like Hologram Cathedral or something like this. Place is wild. Yeah, it's kind of an acquired taste, I guess, because it's not your traditional cathedral. But I love this trend at a certain point in time where it was Art Deco. We were building these grand cathedrals, but they were in an Art Deco style. So let me see if I can share this. This is wild looking. See what I mean? It's like, it kind of is gothic.
Oh.
Yeah, it's gothic in its own way. It's got a grand spire, but it's like Art Deco at the same time. And actually from the other angle, if I could show that, you can see how freaking rad this thing is.
No, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's in Greenland. It's a big Lutheran cathedral. So pretty cool.
What we need is an actual Angel Watch Tower.
Right? That would be right. What we need is a remake of Thief 1 and 2. 1, 2, and 3. That's what we need. All right. I see my young apprentice has learned well. Godspeed. Have you heard the story of Darth Vegas the Gay? Dr. Admiral Razor, your RazörForce Offensive streams make my night shift night shift work less boring. Genuinely, thank you. Godspeed. Oh gosh. What are the opening?
No one wants to be defeated.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know those lyrics. Hold on. Here we go. They told him, don't you ever come around here. Don't want to see your face. You better disappear. The fire's in their eyes and their words are really clear. So beat it. Just beat it. You better run. You better do what you can. Don't want to see no blood. Don't be no macho man. Ooh, you want to be tough. Better do what you can. So beat it. But you want to be bad. Just beat it. Beat it. Sorry. Anyways. I had to look up the opening lyrics because they go by pretty fast. Godspeed, everyone. Thank you for enduring that. If we didn't lose every single viewer during that segment. Channel name. They could also have been in a secondary blast, which would produce the effects they described. That is also possible. He adopted a Chinese slow cooking method. Huh. He won't. I don't know what that means. Animal abuse is now a federal offense. Rip Piker. That's right. Did you see that? Trump inked that this week.
Which one was that?
It's now a federal offense to abuse animals.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I did read that.
See what the left was going to say about it. You know who else loved animals, don't you?
Right.
I could see it. And it arrived within 5 seconds. M. Garcia, Hassan's DeviantArt leaked. Oh, no. Oh, no. I mean, we know how Chank, him and horses. Man's into furry corn, by the way. Good times. That's fantastic. Thanks for.
I could have not needed to know that.
Let me guess. Dogs? Are nipple clamps and a car battery involved? Or the man with the plan and the windowless van? I can't help imagining you in church with your shades on. I literally do have my shades on. Literally do. Have you ever thought doing an episode series on the Bible? Not on my channel, but maybe somewhere else. We're the furthest from Islam. He already read that. Gilbert's Desktop Games is a group of mini games from '97. Includes Elbonian Airlines Sling Game, Boss Space Invaders, and Techno Raiders main game. Oh, that sounds a little lamer. See, if I was making a Dilbert game, I would have made it a point and click. Some kind of mystery in the office that you have to solve or something. Channel name, Transformers. They're blind in one eye. There you go. You already read that one.
Yep.
You read this one as well. American tourists always have to hold a beverage. I guess Stone Cold Stones were stone cold. Go to your room. Your thoughts on Calvin and Hobbes? I always liked it.
Absolutely.
Man, there were some good cartoons back in the day. I always liked Mutts, too. A very underrated one. Death. Hail, Razor. What do you think of people saying X character agrees with me? Just saw it using Cap and Luke Skywalker.
It's the Harry Potter crowd again.
Dude,
that's what I call them.
I'll tell you what it is. Disney adult discourse. That's what it is. That's what it is. Your political knowledge is fictitious. Therefore, fictitious characters agreeing with your politics imbues them with imaginary credibility. That's all it is. That's all it is. All it ever was. It's the guy who cried during the Force Awakens trailer or the Last Jedi trailer. Or was it Ghostbusters? What was? Oh, he cried through all those trailers. What am I saying? McLeod, that guy's still doing it, by the way. That YouTube guy.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He's still sobbing his way through every new freaking corpo slop. McLeod, Microsoft is heavily staffed with H-1B. Yes, they are. Explains the more routine, crappy outages. Yes, it does. Heard of the hollowing out of that place back in the mid-2000s. Indeed. What happened in the mid-2000s? Can anybody answer for $500? 500 imaginary bucks? Anybody? The antitrust hearings. That's what happened at Microsoft in the mid-2000s. Tell me again how antitrust kills monopolies. Hung Nguyen. I know some dogs can eat roaches. Do you think that's why Hassan Piker hates his dogs so much? Maybe. Sonic Boomers. You see the video of Flagman? Guy goes to an anti-ICE protest with a flag, gets heckled. When he's assaulted, he started 1v3. He was winning. The leftists started begging for peace.
You're good people on both sides.
Right. Stone Cold plunge notification for arcade. Right. Motherfucker. The gaming angel. Hassan Korn interested is goats?
Goats. Please, God, no.
Do we have to? Transformers, Scotus made you cry. Seeker of the Way. Did you see Goldie on Piers Morgan? She burned the Young Turks, Cenk, and an Islam Nazi. I didn't. My goodness. I should read the Dresden Files. Okay. What are the odds of Iran becoming a pro-Western state if regime change happens? High, extremely
Very,
high.
very high.
Well, you know what's even higher probability is all the so-called right claiming they're now a American and Israeli puppet regime. That'll happen 15 minutes later. Quote me on it. It's not true. Reza Pahlavi has been waiting in the wings for years. If you've been following my Twitter account over the years, I'll periodically retweet him long before any of this stuff happened. You guys remember all this stuff, but what's Trump's favorite Scorsese movie? The Deported. Shad McLeod. Channel name Avatar: The Last Gender Bender. Tale of the Memberless. Now, listen here. Oh, the Gape of Water. The Azure Nightmare. Hassan Piker's tastes involve wolves, yet he cooks his dog. Odd. Maybe he's really just into Korean cuisine, folks. Until next time, folks, we've been going for over almost 3.5 hours. We need
one more over
really.
at
Do
Rumble.
we have any Rumble rants actually? Before
Exactly. The art school dropout. You ever read either of Craig Ferguson's books?
No, I haven't. I've heard they're actually good, though. I know his comedy specials are freaking brilliant. One of them is free. He put it up himself on YouTube. It was actually really, really good.
And that'll do it.
That'll do it. Let me just double check Streamlabs real quick. All right, there we go. What's the... Oh, they're always changing where they are. Every other day, freaking Streamlabs is changing where these...
Yeah, I know.
It's so irritating. Okay, this is the 15th. Lurifax. Daniel Stern, who played Marv in Home Alone, got arrested for picking up a hooker. Wasn't he also the voice of Dilbert? Am I crazy? I thought he was the voice of
Daniel
Dilbert.
Stern? No.
I thought so. I thought he was. Did Dilbert get arrested for picking up a hooker? I guess he wanted to put his crowbar up in her wet bandit. Now stop it. Now you stop it right now.
It is Daniel Stern. What the fuck?
It was the sticky bandit. Let's see here. Did Razor, Matthew Hammond, did Razor misunderstand Trump? 1, complete price transparency in healthcare with insurance, hospitals, and clinics. 2, end subsidizing the world's pharma prices. 3, normalize the use of HSAs. Maybe I did. What I need to do is read over the actual law. Somebody in the chat suggested we read through the thing on air. Let's do that next week. Matthew Hammond, why does Denmark think the U.S. should defend their colony of Greenland without compensation after spending 1.1 to 1.3% GDP on their military between 1992 and 2022 in violation of NATO's 2% mandate? Good question, bro. Good question. And that will do us. Actually, no, one more. Mexirage. People need to remember America hasn't had a good history with a regime change, so I get why we're not acting fast. We need to get it right, I hope. Yeah, this isn't really regime change. This is sort of a regime change back. It's really what it is when you break it down. Jimmy Carter broke this in the late 70s, and we are unbreaking it. That's kind of the appropriate way to think about it. But I am with you on this. If we don't do it right, we're not unbreaking anything. We're just breaking it even harder. So I get it. I absolutely get that. As for whether it will be, I suspect sometime in the next week, by the time we mount another offensive, in fact, we probably will have that answer. So until next time, folks, I am Razor Fist for Mr. Terrangel. Godspeed!